Hello, good evening, and welcome to the CantinaMX podcast. Glad to have you with us this evening, this Thursday evening, Thursday, the 22nd of February, 2018. A very warm and cordial hello to you from very cold and rainy Lakeway, Texas. My name is John Dragu. Glad to have you with us here on the CantinaMX podcast. We have a lot to get to tonight, and we'll be joined by our fellow Cantineros shortly. I'm flying solo right now, and I wanted to make sure we start at 9:30 because we want to start at 9:30. We don't want to be those guys or we have been those guys rather that say we're going to start at a time and then don't start until like 45 minutes later. And it's a real good way to build an audience. But glad to have you guys with us here on the CantinaMX podcast. We have a lot to get to tonight. Among our topics, we'll be talking a little CONCAChampions because the round of 16 that start off this week, CopaMuyX put a. I mean, I don't think that that Saprissa could be more of a redheaded stepchild of the way they got beaten over the past few days down in San Jose by CopaMuyX. And then we'll talk about the other CONCACAF teams in that tournament. We'll get into some CopaMuyX, Liga MX, the announcement that was made by FEMEX Group today as far as their English language vehicle, and of course the usual desmadre. So glad to have you guys aboard. And please join us on the chat on the YouTube page. And of course, you can listen to this and all previous editions of the CantinaMX podcast and the Podcast Center at iTunes, as well as on Google Play. But it's good to see, though, that as we had mentioned, with the CONCAChampions starting off this week and the way that a certain team in Mexico City has been playing, that the first person that joins us here on our podcast is a man who needs no introduction, but we'll give him anyway. It's Ron, I feel like that's almost insulting with the way that America's been playing. I have to give you the real one. America, America. So Ron DeLuna joins us from Philadelphia. Wow.
Still not convinced, John. I'm still not
convinced. I know you're not convinced. I'm sure that you're saying that it's the other teams and stuff, but they haven't lost in the league. They beat what is traditionally, what I guess what one would call Saprissa. I don't want to upset the no, are they the Dragones Morados? What's their official?
El Monstruo Morado.
El Monstruo Morado. Okay, I don't want to upset any Monstruo Morado fans, but I mean they would be considered the Club America of Costa Rica, would they not be?
Yeah, that's what they would be considered.
Saprissa. Well, they got beat 5-1 at home at the old. And I got to tell you, I miss that stadium. That is a cool little stadium, the Saprissa Stadium in San Jose. The national team does not play there anymore. They're playing at the Olímpico.
China built them one.
They did. China has built a lot of stadiums in Africa as well.
Yeah.
And that's where the national team plays. And actually, that is right now where Red Bull New York and Olimpia are playing in the CONCAChampions because they couldn't logistically get it. Well, what their reasons were for not playing in Honduras. I think it was political unrest or what have you. But regardless, they're playing, and there isn't a soul in the stadium, Ron. I think the only people that are there are the electricians to make sure the lights stay on. And I think that this
pretty bad, isn't it?
This, unfortunately for the rest of CONCACAF is Exhibit A as to why the Gold Cup is played in the U.S. every 2 years. Because if it ain't your team, no one's going.
Yeah.
Although to be fair, I mean, I don't know all the, but I mean, there's not a soul in. I mean, it could be that they're just playing at Puerta Cerrada too. So I'll have to do some investigating. But you're still not convinced, Ron. You are still not convinced.
No, still not convinced. I still think that there's in the transition between going from recuperating, going into the attack, not when they're countering. When they're countering, Piojo's been very, very effective as a counter attacker.
Mm-hmm.
Which that's why I don't believe that the whole La Volpista thing anymore, because he's changed his style. From
has he changed his style, or is he just adapting?
I think he's just matured. Maybe he's matured.
Right.
Where he plays the percentages, he plays the situation, but given the fact that yes, when they're playing on the counter, and stuff like that. They're catching the rival, backpedaling and stuff like that. That's normal. That happens. It's what's still has me a little perplexed is that when it's on their own trying to create, and that
Right.
scares me, John, because in the playoffs, they may go down in a marker because of a bullshit penalty or whatever, known goal.
That never happens to America.
That's so, but that is my concern is they're having to learn or having to create on their own when the opposing team, not necessarily bunkers, but is not opening that much.
Right. Well, maybe that's the reason why Piojo has been playing the style that's because he knows that he doesn't have guys that can, as you say, create their own chances individually in the middle third or the attacking third. So maybe that's why he's been bypassing the middle third altogether. Just go from from defending their area, and just extremely vertical up to the right. Top of the pitch. And to his credit, and like you said, a coach has matured. I mean, he's got some really fast wingers. So I mean, it makes all the sense in the world.
No, that's true.
But you're right though. He does not have that caudillo in the midfield, that Sambuesa type, a guy who can keep possession.
For all the crap that I gave him, El Mickey Arroyo, at least the guy could try to create. Sometimes he would screw it up royally, but at least he would try. And also when you had Sambu, I mean obviously he's a poor man's version of Cuauhtemoc, where he would stop the ball, look, try to see what was going on and stuff like that. I don't really see that. I don't see that type of player. So that's why I'm still not 100% convinced that that it's an automatic title.
Well, no, I mean I don't know who's putting words in your mouth, because I don't think anybody around here ever said automatic title.
No. But
I mean certainly contenders.
Yeah.
Well, let me put it this way, Ron. If you're still not, I mean, as well as they're playing, and I think they are playing well, and you're not convinced that then obviously they're if their ceiling is still that much higher, then they are certainly somebody to keep an eye on, not just in the local tournament, but also in obviously in the CONCAChampions. I mean, you just don't go to. I mean, Chivas goes to a. They play it on what I can't even tell what sport that field is normally used for. It was because they had squares painted. I'm not sure what it was. And I'm not being disrespectful. The place was packed. The atmosphere in the Dominican Republic was outstanding for Chivas's match for them. It was a really good crowd. It was very energetic. They were obviously rooting for their team. It was good. It was a good experience. But Chivas goes in there, wins 2-0. I mean, that's a team that's the first time they've even gotten that far in the tournament. And Saprisa's won the thing. It's just it was a shock.
Again,
I'm sorry.
Who did Saprissa beat to win again? I forget.
Who did Saprissa beat?
Yeah.
They didn't beat anybody. Club America beat them.
Like when they won last time. They won.
Oh, you mean when they beat Pumas? Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Low blow, dude. That's the second time you did that too.
No, that was Joel who did that last week.
Okay.
But
I forgot.
Yeah, that was Pumas at the death of the Hugo regime.
Yeah.
And Costa Rica is at an all-time high, and they have since dropped. But
their club.
Albert Chiquiscampa joins us from Kyle. It's raining over there in Kyle, Albert.
Yeah, a little bit of moisture coming down.
Yeah, it's I kind of like it. It's because I know it's coming in like a month, so it's just nice to have that reminder that this is still winter for us, because it's Ronnie has a constant reminder of winter. I mean, I've lived in Philadelphia where it's like if it gets up to 60 degrees, everyone's in shorts. Not even shorts, like shorts and not even shirts, just walking around. But when they say it'll be a balmy 45, like man, 45 around here is like frigid. Get the level 9 parka out of the closet. So it's the last of that for us, I think, and then it'll be 95 before you know it here in around Austin. Yeah, but that was a low blow. But that's okay. That's what we do here on the CantinaMX podcast. We it's all part of the part of the desmadre. But it's funny you mentioned that because that was at the time. I mean, when Pumas was in such a bad spiral that by 2 years later they were in a terrible. I mean, they were in the battle for the drop, them and Santos. But in the middle of that, of all things, they made it to the Sudamerica final and almost beat. Was it Boca Juniors that they played and lost to them in penalties?
Yeah, yeah. Those were some great years for just in general in terms of teams, Mexican teams internationally. Because I mean, it was what three consecutive tournaments where Mexican teams reached the final of the Sudamericana.
Right.
So good times. Those were good times. Good games.
Yeah, because the third one was it Arsenal de Sarandí?
Shit, don't remind me.
And who was it? Who was it that they played? Chiquis, do you remember?
No, I don't.
No, it was Ron. Do you remember who that was?
Arsenal de Sarandí.
Yeah, who they played to beat in the final. I think they scored 2 goals in the last 10 minutes, didn't they?
Yeah, they really. I don't know how the hell America screwed it up.
Well, the ref. I remember they interviewed Russo. Like he hadn't even left the coach's box yet. After they blew the final whistle, and I mean, I thought that he was. I mean, you could just see the earwax just pouring out of his ears because he was so hot. He was so hot-headed with everything that had happened. I'm surprised that he didn't start growling like a demon.
Brailovsky was trying to, get America settled and stuff like that, but he was never able to get the team really, on all 4 cylinders or on all 6 cylinders.
Right. I mean, and they were at that point because he was like the third or fourth or fifth or whatever the number coach was that had been hired. So I mean, they were in. I mean, and they ultimately, I remember if it was not soon after that, but they like started one season like in 15th place in the porcentaje, but then in a matter of a month it wasn't a problem for them. But yeah, but they got stuck in that mess too, albeit extremely briefly. I think that was until Pelaez showed up.
No. After that, you still had your favorite guy, Michel Bauers.
Well, I mean, I know that he was the cause of that, but I think that when Pelaez came, like that, all that obviously went away. Yeah.
All that,
so why is it then, Ron, that America, not all America fans, but some Americanistas dislike Pelaez so much? I mean,
I think he comes off abrasive and sometimes arrogant. But if you've followed Pelaez's career as a player, even from his Necaxa days and America days, and obviously as a national team player, he's the same. I mean, it's the same attitude, same demeanor and everything like that. It's just he just comes across as an arrogant, aspe.
But isn't that what you want?
What's that?
Isn't that what you want, though?
Well, he comes off on
picante. I don't mind that. I don't mind.
I mean, in a position where you have to take, you have to make hard decisions. I mean, you want a guy like that. I mean, you want to make a guy that's going to just, do it.
Yeah. And I think probably for him,
he comes off as a guy who can't admit when he's wrong. Sort of the same way JLH Higuera is. And that's sort of not ideal. But what you're saying is ideal. I mean, he wants to be confident in his decisions and everything.
So he's a bit of a narcissist then, Pelaez.
I don't know if he's a narcissist. It's just I don't think it
he's
helped.
Got an ego.
In Pelaez, I don't think it helped that that you had just about every icon in America basically trashing him, from Cuauhtemoc to Carlos Dos Santos to Reynoso and stuff like that. And it's like there comes a time where those ex-players, they just need to shut up. I mean, I know that they've earned their stripes and everything, but
right.
It's like, well, why are you going to try to damage the club? At least keep it keep it in house, keep that laundry in house, dude. Don't spread it out. And that kind of did upset me when Reynoso and Carlos.
Well, he did when he was coaching Querétaro. Not soon after that, did lose 5-0.
Yeah.
And
also they gave him crap for the. I mean, I guarantee the Centenario was the least of his the parties, the festivities was the least of his concerns. And I mean, obviously that they. Thank you. I knew that you're going to play that.
But I mean, but as far as I mean, it's not like Peláez is the kind of guy. Hey, look at all this great stuff I've done. I mean, he's as far as quote unquote taking credit. I mean, you don't see him puffing out his chest, say, look at all this great stuff. That's just not the kind of guy he is. I mean, is he arrogant? Sure. Can he admit or not admit to making a mistake? Okay, but
he has. In fact, he's even done it on Fútbol Picante. But he says, look, it's a mistake. I got to move on. I can't dwell on it. And he said that when Cuauhtemoc Blanco was there, and that's when you had the panel
right
pushing as to why they didn't let Cuauhtemoc play the full 90 and all of that stuff. But it was just it was a lot of BS. It was a lot of BS. I think when they try to criticize Peláez, look, he doesn't have to say anything. The records, his the titles, the record, everything speaks for itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, come at me, bro. What do you have to criticize me? I mean, it's he brought them from just an abysmal record to I don't think they've missed the Liga since he came on, and even after he left.
Actually, the season they kicked him out. That's the season they missed.
Oh, that's right. That was the La Volpe special.
Yeah.
Who can forget that? So anyway, America wins their game 5-1 in Saprissa in Costa Rica, and their llave is the winner of Tauro and FC Dallas. And Tauro won that game 1-0 down in Panama, and then FC Dallas gets them next week up in Frisco, where I will.
Oh, who's going? Are you guys going?
I am trying. I have put in my request, so hopefully I will. Cool. I will get to go. That's I'm looking forward to it. And like Chiqui said, if they don't win that, then we're not going to get to see the FC Dallas America match, which I think is going to be just absolutely just a fascinating endeavor. So hopefully FC Dallas will take care of business next week up in Frisco, because I'm guessing America is not going to lose 4-0 in like I said, have to lose 5-0 at the Azteca to Saprissa. Although crazier things have happened.
Yeah, I mean they did blow a pretty good lead in CONCAChampions, but that was to a Mexican team. That was to Toluca, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Under the La Puente era.
Well, there's obviously been a change in attitudes about this tournament, because each team, except for Tigres, that just maybe didn't travel as many of their. I mean, but it certainly wasn't a reserve side. But they're playing with majority of what I would call regular, if not regular players, then out and out starters. I mean, Chivas today, that was their regular starting 11, and we saw the same thing with Club America. I mean, they started their guys. I mean, so obviously there's either been a message sent or the teams are just taking it that much more seriously, or both. So that is definitely good to see.
Yeah. Yep. So that pretty much covers the CONCAChampions.
Yes. Did you have a topic that you wanted to sink your teeth into, Ron?
COPAMuyX Cruz Azul.
Cruz Azul.
Yeah.
Do we have let's see.
¿Y la Cruz Azuleó?
I don't think I know any more Cruz Azul fans, dude, to be honest.
It's funny, when I was looking for that clip, I was trying to find anything, and it was a dude reading soccer definitions, and one of them, I'm guessing it was a joke, but he did the Cruz Azular one. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So is there anything in particular you wanted to mention about Cruz Azul there, Ron?
Should they panic?
Should they what?
Should they panic with Caixinha?
Well, I personally don't think they should. But then again, I'm a little, I'm pumping all sorts of sunshine here because Cruz Azul was the pick that I made to win the whole thing, as was the pick for for the gentleman who's just joined us from California, Joel Aceves. Joel, hola, ¿cómo estás, Joel?
¿Qué hubo, Leon? Pretty good. Pretty good. Glad to be back on the show.
We're glad to have you. Now we glad to have you on, Joel. Are we going to talk Chivas Crisis Center here in a minute, or are we?
Well, they did win, but Pereira got injured again. But I saw this tweet that was funny, and it said, "Pereira injured again. It doesn't matter when you read this."
Oh, that's funny.
That's been the case since pretty much for most of his career with the Goats.
Right. Now, but we'll get to the Goats in a second. But the pressing topic, right? This is a, Ron Zamerica has been very well. So we gave him the opportunity to pick that the next. And for some reason, I'm not sure why, but he decided that picking on Cementero scabs right now would be something fun to do. So I mentioned as you came on that I have to stand by my pick, so I have to think that Cruz Azul is going to stick with Caixinha through and through. I mean, they have to.
We talked about this last week, John. You convinced me because I was beginning to falter there, and you're like, we have to maintain. But the fans, they've been chanting "Fuera Caixinha." They haven't been with him as forgiving as they were with Paco Gemes.
Right.
So I don't know what's going on there.
Well, I mean, it's not as if they've lost. I mean, they just haven't been winning, but they've been tying. And I think that they gave up. If I'm not mistaken, I think that they
¿Y la Cruz Azuleo?
in their last game, was it against Necaxa over the past week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But John, remember we said we expect La Máquina to have to improve when they because they're going to play 3 straight home games.
That's right. And as we've said,
that's
go ahead.
No, yeah, that's when they should be able to turn the tables to their favor. That's big 9 points.
Because as we've said many times on this show, that those 9 points can flip your season around in Liga
9 or 7
very quickly.
Yeah, even if it's 7, that would be still massive.
Absolutely. So you're still in the Cruz Azul. You're still in the Cruz Azul corner. You are pro Cruz Azul.
You convinced me, John.
See, now you're putting this on me. You're putting this on me.
Oh, when's the last time Cruz Azul won?
Cruz Azul.
Against who did they win? Do you guys remember?
Yeah, I'm looking them up right now. Cruz Azul. Let's see their schedule. It's funny you should mention that.
Let me
last time they won.
Wait. Let me try to guess it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
What's it? Because I remember watching a game where Hermosillo, they needed to bandage his head, and he shot the penalty kick against Comiso, David Angel Comiso. So I don't know if Comiso at that point was playing for León. I would like to say it's either León or
I think it was León.
He played with Morelia. So, but I'm gonna stick with León. So that's going off on my memory.
That 97?
Yeah, like 97.
It's a long time. It's a long time for a team that proud to not win. To win a championship. But the last time that they won this year, that's actually the only time they won this year, and that was against Chivas in Guadalajara 3-1. And they've had.
I thought he was talking about championship, not an actual game.
Well, both. But they've had 1 win, 4 draws, 1 win, 5 draws, 1 win, 5 draws, and 2 losses. 1 win, 5 losses. Actually, their last loss, it wasn't to Necaxa, it's to Puebla, where they had the.
Yeah, and like Chivas, they haven't won at home. I think those are the only 2 teams that haven't been able to win in their home stadium.
And they gave up the tying goal to Puebla in the 86th minute.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Ouch.
I wish we had. I know that Marquitos, Jason Marquitz, is a cementero. But we know other cementeros. I wish we could convince the other cementeros to, but they're not going to come on until they either like turn it around or then start playing well and make the finals.
Yeah.
I guarantee. Like right now, they don't want to.
Well, I was telling them about Carterucho Quemado, and that guy has only scored 5 goals since he joined Cruz Azul, and he came in as one of the, as a top scorer from the Argentine league.
Right.
And yeah, the one thing we were talking about was how that league expanded to 30 teams. Outside of their top 5, a lot of those teams can become pretty weak. So it's easy to get a couple hat tricks or bag a couple braces and
Right.
tally up a good amount of goals. So 5 goals and 3 of those are on cup, only 2 in league. So I mean, yeah, I'm surprised they've held on to that player for this long. That one Alemão guy seemed a bit more. He just seemed a bit better, and they just let him go.
And I mean, I look at Cruz Azul. We've talked about this before on the show. I mean, I look at their roster and I don't see anybody on that I think that is emblematic of Cruz Azul at all. I guess the only one.
I know who's emblematic.
Tata Dominguez. I mean, he's been there for going on 10 years now.
For all the wrong reasons, Gullit is emblematic.
Poor Gullit. He makes the Cruz Azul and he gets injured. Is he out for the year, or is he coming back?
He arrives overweight, and then he plays one game and gets injured.
That is emblematic of how things. Yeah, it's.
Cruz Azul got eliminated, right, from COPAMuyX.
Yes, they were eliminated in midweek. You're absolutely right. Yeah, so they've had a great week. Jeez. So I can't imagine any of the cementeros are going to come out of the woodwork. Yes, Ron.
Sorry, I got kicked off. But regarding Gullit, this I think goes back to what we were talking about, how with the media and stuff like that. Because Gullit, I mean, he lights it up in Leon, but then with Chivas and Cruz Azul, 2 teams that are also that have a lot of media.
He did have one his first tournament with Chivas. He scored 12 goals. It was really he did really good. It was until the second one where he fell out of favor with not just with the fans, but I heard also with Almeida.
But I mean that he, to me, I mean, Gullit's the type of player that I almost want to say that he's like technically more gifted than Bofo, but it's just he's just like super inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to compare those two, I would say that Bofo maybe had a longer bout of consistency.
Yeah.
Than Gullit, but I mean, seriously, I mean, I remember in 2013, 2014, well, he was an animal. I mean, he was such a good player, and he was like, just your dream midfielder, guy that can crash the box and and score well. It was like, wow, this guy's. But he just. He played a few friendlies with Piojo, and they just, against better competition, he just did not live up to it. I think even Piojo was like.
The story was he cracked under pressure once he was in the national team, and that he wasn't even gonna make the squad. Piojo didn't want him anymore, but there was some pressure to keep him on.
Well, he probably wouldn't have gone if Negro Medina or Chapo Montes would have gotten hurt. So maybe he was a last-minute substitution for that. But I mean, you certainly can't blame Piojo for wanting him on the team. I mean, he really was. I mean, for that particular season, one of the better Mexican players in Liga MX, which is what you want heading into the World Cup. And right now, I look across the league, and I was gonna ask, we're now 2 months into the tournament. And, usually before a World Cup, you want to, who's going to be that guy that just comes out of nowhere that this guy's got to be on the team. And there just hasn't been anybody. So I don't know if Osorio is going to have to make any kinds of those hard decisions. So, I mean, we thought that Joel had picked Henry Martin for Club America. Had a great first month, was outstanding. Scored was five goals. He was at one point the leader in goal scoring, and has been like on a 3 or 4 game drought. Missed was he the one that yesterday that missed just the worst kind of sitter against Saprissa? It was bad.
He'll bounce back, John.
Well, that's the great thing is that he actually bounced back in that game, and he didn't score, but he served up somebody really nicely. So
yeah, that return to Prisa game that should be easy pickings for him.
Yeah, we'll see how that turns out. But we do need some Cruz Azul fans to come on here.
Yeah, they've been shying away, John. We invite them, and they're like the fans from the tweets that wearing the paper bag over their heads.
They're in the cave with a paper bag, and then need some super bait to draw them out.
I also have.
I'm not gonna lie, man. Cruz Azul's provided a lot of laughs.
They have. Now, Joel, if you were on the dating game and you asked, Bachelorette number 1 and Bachelorette number 2 questions, like how would you react to a really rough Cruz Azul loss, right? And the first one gives you the. No nos merecemos este equipo y no nos merecen como afición porque les falta actitud. So you have that, right? And then the other one responds.
Sufriendo cada torneo lo mismo. Duele porque uno no se lo merece.
So which one?
The first one.
Do you go out on the date with the first one?
She sounds very passionate. Yeah. Yeah. The other one already gave up.
I do have a very passionate Club America fan too. Let's see.
Primero que nada hay que felicitar a Chivas porque ganaron bien. La neta, hay que dejarnos de tonterías.
So we have her too. Well, hopefully we'll get some. We need to really work on that. Yes.
Do you have the Puma kid, the Valejos, or what's it?
No sirve para
nada.
Man, that's traumatizing it. His whole family laughing.
That we also have.
Ya, Gonzalo.
His kids are right behind him. This guy's doing a classic Kiko crying.
He is.
Leaned up against the wall.
I think Cruz Azul fans are on a really profound fade. Like Joel and Ron Ron doesn't want to accept America's doing good, and Joel is like the self-loathing. Cruz Azul is like they're on another level. They're like on not a self-loathing, but a
self-loathing. Hey,
like a self-hating where they leave their team. They'd rather be like a Tigre, they Cambia, whatever.
So speaking of self-loathing, I was looking at some of the tweets from some of our good friends from Rigo and his close buddies from the Chivas of the North, and man, they seem to be self-loathing right now.
Yeah. Is it their turn, Joel, to watch Chivas matches and whip themselves like Opus Dei?
I'm almost getting angry, John. I was like, hey, that's my thing right there. What are you guys doing?
Well,
you're cutting
you guys are supposed to be cheery all the time.
They're in a different state, though, man. They're in like a depression state. You're like laughing. You're having a good old time.
What?
In the ways of Chivas, but they're like all like somber.
I know, but it's like we flipped because I still think Chivas going to do really good in this cup, even despite the poor showing. I wasn't able to see the game, but I know they were looking bad despite the 2-0 win. but I still think they're gonna do good. But I was following through the social media and everyone's just like very pessimistic. So I was looking.
For me, it's like that image of the red wedding. You know, that picture of that player, of that fan. He's just like in disbelief. He's like, holding his head, and then like a couple seats above, you have that other player.
Pointing.
He's pointing and he's laughing. That's you. That's you, Joel.
It is. It is right now. It is. And I had some tweet exchanges because from a few days back where I was telling them that Chivas is going to do good in the Cup, but they're so down on the team now that they're really not expecting much from it. So, but the news is that El Maestro Galindo might join the team. So
To
I
do
think
what?
that would.
To be the replacement when
No, well, they want it. It's kind of funny because it's like they want like a GM, but they don't want a GM that is above the coach.
I keep going back to this movie for quotes on Spy Game, where Robert Redford Mueller is like when they said like, hey, when I remember when my coach would just say, would say to tell me to be a team player, I knew I was about to get benched.
right.
And it seems to me that that's the case. If they bring in Galindo's not going to go there to echar porras and stuff. No, he's going to go there to make room for himself.
No, I don't think he's gonna do that because I don't know what he did. He hasn't been able to get a job with Liga MX, and even when he was Chepo's assistant at Santos, they were both let go. And this is a guy that won really good Chivas team. He was the one coaching it, the one that humiliated Boca. That was Galindo, and
Galindo had them playing like clockwork, man, for a while.
Yeah, and he has a league title with Santos, so it's pretty interesting how he can't find a job. You think that he's been really bad, and you got Romano coaching.
I can handle things. I'm smart.
So,
I'm
but
not honestly that is no way a representation of what I think of Benjamin Galindo. I'm not calling him by any means a Fredo type at all. But I do think that decision that you said, Joel, that you bring him in as the GM, but don't let him have more power than the coach or whatever it is.
yeah, it's kind of
a decision like that is made by one of these guys.
No bueno.
Oh, not that guy. This guy.
He was bad.
This
I
guy.
can handle things.
Yeah.
I'm smart.
Yeah. So.
and you know what? Because they asked Pelaez, he was in Spicy Soccer, and they asked him, if he would do the GM job at Chivas. And one of the things he said was, the GM can't be hired by the coach. It's the other way around,
Right.
It should be the owner that hires the GM, because ultimately the GM will decide if the coach stays or not. So,
well, the coach can certainly have input, but he's not the one that's pulling the trigger on that decision.
You know what?
Yeah.
I don't think that Pelaez would do anything at Chivas, because I just think it's a completely different organization. It's like you guys, for me, really, the at least in the last 20 years, the best GMs in Mexico have been Lebrija and to a certain degree Pelaez. Lebrija was spot on for many, many years. But, and it's like, it seemed like, when he went to Chivas, I think it was like they didn't give him the freedom that he wanted.
Well, he left because they didn't even, when Chicharo was sold, he didn't even know. The media was asking him, and he didn't know what happened in that deal. And it was bad in the sense that the team needed to hold on to Chicharo at least until the Libertadores final.
And that's wrong. And that's almost as wrong. That's almost as the Pelaez situation about not knowing about Moy Munoz. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like, to me, it seems like there was a disconnect. They got to a point where there was a disconnect, with John De Luisa, the other dude, and
Pepe
Peláez.
Romano. Yeah.
Yeah, Pepe Romano,
Well, I mean, it seems to me, Ron, when stuff like that happens, we were talking about Peláez earlier, how in my mind, I think that he deserves, a great deal of the credit for turning Club America around. I don't think that anybody denies that. I didn't hear those two guys' names mentioned when it came to the great Club America turnaround. Maybe it was a jealousy thing, and they're like, dude, and so maybe they got tired of the act, and they just, they did that to him, knowing that, if we undermine him, then for sure he will go, because he'll take it as a major sign of disrespect.
Well, right now, John De Luisa, right now, he's on the committee. I don't think he cares right now what goes on with him.
Well, but this was right 2-3 years ago. So
right. But what I'm saying is I don't really give much of the credit to John De Luisa or even Pepe Romano for that matter. I think this was all mostly Peláez, because obviously there was a huge connect, between what's his name, Peláez and Piojo,
Yeah. Well, you know what the funny thing is right now is that kind of what Chivas wants to do, America is kind of doing it, because the GM is Santiago Bathrooms.
Yeah.
And I really doubt he's going to tell Piojo what to do. He was his assistant.
So you're saying that he's a GM in title only, and Piojo's really the one who's...
Pretty much. I'm pretty sure. I can't say for sure, but I doubt it. I doubt this guy's going to be.
It's a very interesting and certainly plausible theory you have there, and you think that's what Chivas wants. That's what Almeida wants. Is he wants to be the coach, but so just bring in some.
Well, because what happened was that that they gave him all this power. They sacked a lot of people that work there, a lot of coaches, a lot of staff that was involved, even medical staff.
We haven't fully recovered here at the CantinaMX podcast when we made you GM, and you went on your rampage either. So we can certainly empathize with with the Chivas staff.
Yeah, but and also I have to think if they ultimately do go for Galindo, if that's like a bit of a sucker punch to Higuera, because Galindo's close to the De La Torres, and Higuera just hates those guys. He tried to ban them from the stadium because as we know, Nestor works. He does the commentary for Univision and then the home game, so he tried to get him banned from the stadium, but Nestor is he has a palco, he has a.
Well, how long has the De La Torre family been involved with Chivas? What, for 70, 80 years?
No, 80, more than 80, and not just involved, just even with the championships and all that, as players and coaches and every aspect. It's pretty funny what's going on, but I do feel that I think for the league it's pretty lost. Pumas, I expect the best a tie in Seoul, and then in the return leg it's going to be against America, and this America's on fire, man. I don't think.
Ron is still not convinced. He's
not.
Todavía no me convence. That's what he is. That's how he started. That was the first thing he said on the show.
I don't know if I have to remind him. With Almeida as coach, America eliminated them twice in playoffs.
Is that when they got the Gonzalo one? Gonzalo.
Ya, Gonzalo.
Te están viendo tus hijos, Gonzalo.
Maybe it's just that I don't want America to be good, so I can loathe too,
When you say te están viendo tus hijos, was there some Atlas fans right there?
I'm not sure. I think it was actually
His actual kids.
Yeah, his actual kids.
Yeah. No, I don't feel good about that. That match. I know they say it could go either way, but I think overall, Piojo is proven a better coach. So I don't think we're gonna get that many points. I predicted 0 points from the next 2 games.
Wow.
Although I think 2 is possible, but because I don't know if you guys remember, I did like a whole. I sort of tried to like how Chivas results were gonna be, and for the last 4 games, I pretty much put 2 points, and I've been spot on pretty much. I'm gonna say.
I have to admit, without even watching the games and living and breathing the Chivas Clausura 18 experience, carne y hueso, you're like one of the soothsayers or the witches in Macbeth. You're blind, but you look in the soup like Chivas will only get 20 points and we'll struggle to score. But then again, you can say that about any Chivas team. As far as Chivas though, Joel, they did. You're right. They did struggle tonight, 2-0. But I'm not making excuses. But let's examine, where they were. They were in the Caribbean playing on a plastic field with like 99% humidity. And
with one of their players injured at halftime.
One of their players injured at halftime, and the place, for a CONCAChampions atmosphere was outstanding. We talked about that earlier as well. Just a really, really good atmosphere at what I would assume is a stadium that seated maybe 10,000 people, but it was packed. And they did what they had to do. Did they have to score by 3 or 4 or 5 goals? No. All they had to do was win.
Yeah, and keeping it 0 is also key.
Absolutely.
Not letting the other team away.
The thing about Mexican teams is unless they're extremely, extremely good, they cannot play at medio gas and think that they're going to roll people 5-0. It's just, they're just not good enough to do that to anybody. I mean, unless you're playing like a teenage amateur team or whatever. But as far as professionals, it's just not going to happen.
I know that. Well, changing subjects a little bit. Did you guys? I think I tweeted it. About Decio Maria, the Mexican Federation president, talking about how it's not fair for certain clubs, Liga MX clubs, to receive federal, subsidies and stuff like that.
Wasn't Chiapas at one point owned by the state of Chiapas?
Yeah. Okay. Veracruz, okay, at one point was. Atlante at one point was.
They were owned by by Social Security.
Or they own a percentage of it.
Well, either way.
I mean, like, we're going back, 20, 30 years. I mean, like John said, at one point, Atlante was owned by the Social Security, administration of Mexico. So it's like there's been a lot of clubs that have been owned or administered by the government.
What, San Luis right now. I know we talk about. I know, the focus is on Atlético de Madrid. They bought into them, but another percentage is owned by the state.
Yeah,
the governor, I don't know how that works.
Now, honestly, I think this is, Televisa basically taking off the gloves.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Taking off
Pachuca.
Yeah, it's like you went off the reservation,
kicking them other in the ground.
Yeah, and I think that's what. But here's the thing: there is a lot of, what what happens is like with Atlanta, we can use Atlanta as an example. Atlanta was a great team, and then the government decided one day to just pull the plug on all the financing, and then next thing you know, they're in the they're relegated within 1 year.
And also, Ron, they don't seem to manage him well or invest as much as they should.
No,
it's almost they all kind of have it there for some type of tax break.
And they also use it for social status. It's like these politicians. It's like they don't know how to administer a club, and I can understand.
You have no idea how well it works, Ron. When I go to a bar to meet the ladies, and I drop that, I am the owner of La Jaiba Brava down in Tampico. They're like, oh my God. They just go bananas.
And I've told you that story of that porro from the what? I mean, the guy had the audacity to suit himself up for a game. So, I played against America,
Right.
I mean,
hey,
was he like
who
the
wouldn't be happy of that though?
What's that?
He was the proctor, wasn't he? Wasn't he the dean?
I don't remember. His exact title. I've just always known the story that he was un porro. I mean, he was just like a little mafioso type, not narco, but just a guy that that didn't leave a straight life, per se.
Right.
But and he had a lot of influence, and that he wanted to suit up, and he did, because he thought he could, and he did,
But it was like the kid, right? The Leaño, the kid from the owner, the son of the Tecos owners.
Oh,
Cheto.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but here's the thing. I'm not knocking. I won't knock on Tecos, and I'll tell you why. And I can't think of any. I mean, right now I can't think of another team in Liga MX that did this. Tecos went from third division to second division to first division the right way. And for the longest time, they were one of the teams that once they made it to the first division, they maintained themselves there for what 20 or 30 plus years. 20 something plus years. So I have to give it to the Leaños for that.
They had a really good scouter promoter, man, because they would bring in some really good strikers.
They had a good team.
Abreu.
Yeah, they had good. They had
Navia.
Well, I remember when they had Chita Ludueña, and when he was he was crazy good when he was with Tecos.
Yeah, really good. I wanted him for the national team.
So yeah, I mean, I won't knock the Leaños. Yeah, you can criticize it for a lot of things, but my respects, because right now everybody wants you just to buy a franchise and say, yep. I think it served the Leaños well that they knew what it was like to play in the third division, what it was like to play in the second division, and I mean, and to certain point, even the Pachucas did that, because keep in mind that in the 90s, dude. Tigres and Pachuca were going up and down in the first and second division or Primera A. Like I think
that's right.
Pachuca I think was relegated twice, and I think Tigres was also relegated once or twice, if memory serves me well.
Once for sure. I can't remember if it was twice or not yet, but I mean that was.
And that also goes back, to Tigres. Tigres basically just kind of. The what's the name, the university also kind of like started to withdraw funds from the club, and next thing you know, they formed the patronato, the Sinergia, whatever, the one that's that council that's loaded with money.
That's where I saw my very first live Liga MX game at 3 de Marzo Stadium.
3 de Marzo?
It's really small, man. Yeah.
That was a World Cup stadium in '86, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Wow. It wouldn't qualify now.
No.
Yeah. It's a nice venue, but it's a small stadium.
In fact, I think Spain played at least one of their games there. For sure.
So, yeah.
And I think they played their other one in Monterrey. But
yeah.
As far as Tecos and but they were a private university. They're not public, even though they were called Universidad Autónoma de Guadalajara. You think when it says Autónoma that would be the public one, but it's not. It was the private one. So I guess my question, Ron, is, so this that Maria makes is, I mean, obviously a very veiled jab at the Pachuca situation, but I'm thinking, okay, so Pumas plays in a public stadium, a stadium owned by the public university, as does Tigres.
Yeah.
How many other places play, and Atlas plays in a municipal stadium.
Yeah.
That's run by the city.
Oh, actually,
So,
no. That's Jalisco's owned by Club Unidos.
I thought it was run by the city.
No. It was Chivas bailed out on Clubes Unidos de Jalisco, but the Jalisco Stadium was built by the club members of what was it? Chivas, Atlas, Oro,
and with a Jalisco.
No, it was not them. They weren't there. It was Nacional, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But it was four teams.
Yeah.
From the state of Jalisco, Guadalajara, and stuff like that. They built their own stadium. It was
Clubes Unidos Jalisco.
Yeah, Clubes Unidos Jalisco. Cruz Azul. There's actually, I forget, he's an owner. He also owns the stadium, or the bull ring, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
That's literally, stone throw away.
You know what? They still manage the Jalisco Stadium.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
obviously, Azteca is owned by Grupo Televisa.
Right, but León Stadium is that's owned by the municipio.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think Cermeño, the old owner, I think I think like last year or so, the courts said that he is the rightful owner of it. But the
team doesn't own it.
What's that?
The team doesn't own it.
To mine, if I read it
right,
they
don't.
Yeah. If I read it right.
Wait, go on, Ron.
So yeah, I mean, here's the thing, and for in the Liga MX to basically be legit, this type of stuff is going to have to stop, because in Puebla there's ownership issues. In Chivas there's ownership issues. In León there's ownership issues. There's still old owners and stuff like that are still trying to fight for ownership, and you really can't have that. And now, granted, we all know. I mean, obviously, we don't know with 100% certainty, but I think it's safe to say with 99.99% certainty, we know why Decio de Maria was basically saying that it's not fair play for.
I just want to clear something up real quick.
Yeah.
So Cermeño and Gonzalez. Yeah, Ron, you're correct.
Yeah.
The city determined that ownership of the stadium is property of Cermeño and Héctor González. But Grupo Pachuca doesn't. They're the ones that control León now.
Yeah, Grupo Pachuca.
So
Cermeño, but I've read Cermeño's claim that the same thing, that he still thinks that he's still the rightful owner of the.
Yeah, so there's talks that León might relocate if they can't come to an agreement with the stadium once the because they rent it out. So once that contract runs out,
so you're telling me Cement Boy can't build his own stadium? I mean, that that thing that you posted, Joel, that article about the anonymous Liga MX owner who made the comment that 10 years ago MLS teams were valued at 15 million, and now they're valued at 100 or whatever it is. So I went and looked at some numbers, and yeah, the MLS teams have definitely increased their value. How have they done that? Well, the first thing they've done is stadiums. They built stadiums, and they finance stadiums and sell the most. The teams that have the highest valuations own their own stadium. Number two, the league also has a league-wide merchandising contract with Adidas that everybody gets a piece of. And then the other one is TV, which isn't as big, but it certainly plays. And of course, the franchise fees that they accumulate from the other teams that come in. So,
and the protectionism of Major League Soccer with the pyramid, of not having promotion relegation. That's also certain. That's also works into their favor.
Right. Sure.
And for Mexican Liga MX teams, I think that the value of Mexican teams, of Liga MX teams, is still a lot higher than those of MLS. But I think what the Liga MX owners are trying to do is to basically put it on, put it in paper, meaning in terms of actual worth.
Sure. No, I understand that, but to me, there's a couple of really critical things that teams have to do in order for that, in order for them to make that jump, and it kind of freaks me out to say that, but I think one of those for the teams that don't have a decent one is get a really good stadium built. I mean, that's why I made the comment about the Leon guy. He's a cement guy. I mean, surely. And he's an Eagle guy too. So you don't think that he'd want to outdo, whomever, Vergara or whatever it is, with his fancy stadium that he's going to build in Pachuca or León or wherever, or both. But you're right, Ron. I think that there are obviously some teams that have an extremely heavy valuation just because of their of the assets that they control and who they are. Now, the one thing I did find real interesting about that, yes, they have this value, but out of the 22 teams, I think 13 or 14 of them still operate at a loss in MLS. So they might be valued at 200 million, but they're not bringing any money. I mean, in fact, they lose money every year. So there's that little nugget of information as well.
But that guy said also, he said there's a waiting list of owners that want to buy into expansion teams, and that's one thing you don't really see with Liga MX clubs. You had in the 90s and early 2000s cartels using clubs to launder money, and now you have some type of scheme with the with governors or with the states. So I don't know what's going to happen in Mexico to stabilize, so something more stable where the clubs can go up in value.
Well, the fact that most teams are owned by S corporations of sorts, I don't think that the that they obviously they still haven't opened their books. We all Liga MX, they're pretty discreet when it comes to their books.
I do want to mention, Ron, that if anybody ever wants to look at our books, we will gladly open up our books to show people.
Except for the quack.
And there's some crayons too. There's some crayons.
By the way, you never answered to that truck accident in Houston where a 53-foot trailer full of crates and crates of avocados tumbled and were lost.
They were lost.
They were lost forever. Obviously a way to manipulate the avocado market. It was pretty obvious, and you never responded. So I think that since you all, I mean, you could be more obvious. I mean, the name of your restaurant is Guacamoles.
I was working with the Randolphs. Remember the moving Trading Places with Eddie Murphy?
Right.
The Randolphs.
Yes.
Yes, we were doing some dirty dealings with the Randolphs, trying to market the quarter on avocados. And that's how many tons? Exactly. How many tons were lost?
Oh, I can't remember how many. But it was a lot. It was like 15 or 20. I mean, it was a lot of that could make about enough guacamole to last the first quarter of the Super Bowl in the United States. I think that's how many avocados were. Of course, again, and that also did happen right in the month before the Super Bowl too. So I'm sure that I'm sure that you picked your timing couldn't have been better. Honestly, your timing could not have been better. Well, John, I think we should move on here. Now, there was an announcement that was made today. In fact, the Joel, I'm sure you're thrilled to pieces. There's going to be just a smorgasbord of activity in in Los Angeles. For Mexico, for the first of Mexico's two despedidas, the only country on the planet that can have two despedidas for the World Cup. They can have their LA despedida in their second home. Where they summer. Mexico summers in LA. And then they'll have their despedida at the Estadio Azteca like a week later, or whatever it is, before they head on over to Russia. But it's not just that they're going to have an open practice, Joel. And today they also announced that they're going to have an English language presence on social media with the Facebook and Twitter account for Mexico's national team.
Yeah, I saw their Twitter, and then the game is against Wales, with Bale on board.
Well, I mean, I would assume that Bale would be there, but wouldn't I mean, if they're playing, I'm not sure when the Champions League final is, but I mean, if that's like the 21st, there's no way he's going to be there. I mean, of course, I'm assuming Real Madrid going to make the final, but yeah, so it's going to be against Wales, and it's actually going to be on Memorial. It's going to be on the Monday, Memorial Day, and then they have a whole weekend of activities planned for. I think they're going to have an open practice in the Rose Bowl too.
Some podcast men with blazers I don't know about, but are going to be talking Mexico as well. Yeah,
Men with Blazers. It's not a podcast. It's actually I'm sure they have a podcast, but it's also a show that was made popular on ESPN. Then they moved over to NBC Sports Network. They're big Piojo fans, Men in Blazers. They thought, in fact, that they wanted him to coach some of their English teams in the Premier League. When just because they just liked all the emotion that Piojo showed during the World Cup. So yeah, so they're going to have English language presence finally. In the what took you so long category of events. The Mexican national team is finally going to have an English language presence for their English speaking fans.
So I'm sort of interested in seeing the potentially disappointing results in the amount of followers that Twitter account gets, and also it's interesting that there's a lot of hate, mostly from Spanish-speaking people, about this game being in the United States, the despedida in the United States instead of in Mexico. But they've
been doing that for a while now, though.
But they always have a despedida. They have two despedidas. They have one here, and then they have one in Mexico.
Yeah, I remember going to the one in
So what's the one in Mexico?
When Mexico played New Zealand and Chicharo scored really nice goal.
But that wasn't a despedida. That was just a regular fecha FIFA, because they always have their.
But that's one of their last games before the World Cup, and then they played.
Yeah, I understand that, but that was like 2 months before that. I mean, that was like the one fecha FIFA they have in the second half of the season, and then in May they have their crazy thing where they play like 3 games in 10 days, and they go from LA to New York and back to Seattle, just some crazy stupid travel that they set up for themselves, and then they go to Mexico City and they have that despedida down there too.
This one's closer to the World Cup.
Yes.
So it's going to be more expensive.
Oh, absolutely, and it's at the Rose Bowl, which means they're probably expecting about 95,000 fans.
Oh man, I don't know how Mexico fans do it, man.
I don't think there'll be that many.
Oh yeah, they will, man.
Oh, dude, in LA?
The World Cup. Yeah, they will, man. With the World Cup around the corner, and that will be the World Cup team pretty much.
Right. With guys with stragglers coming on, but by May 28th. Now I have to look at the calendar because the World Cup starts pretty late. It starts like on the 14th or 15th of June. So I would have to assume that they're gonna go to Mexico City before they. I mean, they can't not have a despedida. I mean, in the Azteca. I mean, surely they're going to do that also, because they would still have time. Plenty of time.
You have to do a cost-benefit analysis.
So, And so it's 2018. Joel, when did you first start writing and getting published, writing about Mexican soccer?
2003.
2003. So it was
Yeah.
you and Luis Bueno
And
and Andrea.
Andrea Canales, yeah. And they might have been.
And Ron, right? Ron, didn't you put pen to paper back then?
Yes, I did. That was a little after Joel. We were writing about it back about Liga MX back then.
And then Joel, I remember reading an article. I think it was in either before the 2006 or 2010 World Cup, where you said that that you were being interviewed, and you said that you live your life in as a 4-year etapa, like your life revolves around the World Cup.
Yeah, back then I did.
So not as much anymore. You don't go by 4-year procesos anymore.
No, that was before. That was me. I was all in football, man. I would just every day, all day, man. I had my whole schedule revolved around just gathering as much info as I could, and we're going even further back than that. So you didn't have as many, you didn't have all the shows, all the news coming out. You had like a few shows on the radio, and they weren't that good. They were entertaining, but they didn't have as much info as they do now, man. It's a lot of info dump now,
Right.
especially with social media, and so back then you would have to listen to the show for 3 hours, and they would have like maybe one or two good pieces of info right there, man, and we had to go by the magazines, so like Tiro de Esquina, and you could some stores would sell the esto. They would bring it from X, so
Right.
you get it like in the afternoon. To have someone like drive down to TJ to buy some
Right.
and sell them over here for like $2. They were like a quarter down there, but
And you got published on Goal, right?
yeah, I was with them, me and Ron.
Oh.
Before it was Goal, they were Soccer Age. It was
Right.
Soccer Age. Yeah, they were a small operation. I remember when they turned to Goal, I was surprised because I had left, and like I returned about a year later, and I was like, wow, it's way different now. Yeah, the first people that were there, they were kind of hating. They didn't want to cover Mexico soccer.
Right.
They didn't want to give it. Yeah, they had A League. They had the A League, and
they covered the A League, but not Mexican soccer.
But not. Yeah, they didn't want to cover Liga MX.
Right.
They would cover the A League and Subuteo. I don't know if you guys heard of that. That's
No.
some board game. Some board game that you put pieces.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, we don't play your nerdy games. Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
It's pretty big in Europe.
So we had y'all, and then there was Luis Bueno, who, I mean, I first read him in 2005 on SI.com.
Yeah.
He even had like his little picture, like all the other writers on the top there, and he had some pretty interesting articles. And but that was it. I mean, and then I know that you guys had a big soccer back then, which I didn't join until 2006. So to see this, this evolution. I mean, I'm not saying that, the reason that this happened or whatever it is because of what started all those years ago. But it just seems to me that the market has always been there for this kind of information. And why was it that MX Food took so long to recognize that?
John, I think it's probably has to do with the sponsors that probably ask for more media more presence in social media, just because how much money they can make if your social media has like X amount of followers, they could cash in on that. So I think that's more to do with it than actual reaching out fans, because even when we were writing even back then, it was mostly everyone was bilingual that would read our stuff. So it was just dudes that would prefer to read it in English.
Right.
But and one thing I've noticed, like I go into the when Univision does the English broadcast, and they have a chat, and if you go into the chat, you're gonna see that about 95%, 99%, it's in Spanish. And I'll type stuff in English just to see if someone else is in there, and I rarely get an answer.
So what does that tell you?
Yeah, but I think, like I'm saying, that it's a lot. Yeah, a lot of people still bilingual, so they'll.
Well, why would anybody follow Univision Deportes?
And speak English.
Exactly, unless they had more. Now, if they had a page that said Univision Deportes English, or Univision Sports, let's say, then that would, but I mean, I'm thinking, okay, so I don't have Univision Deportes network, but I have a phone and I have Facebook, and Chivas is playing León. I'm gonna watch. This is the only way I can watch the game. So I can certainly understand how there would be a lot more Spanish speakers watching that than English speakers.
In the conference, the press conference, Cantu said, "How many Mexicans are in the United States?" He gave a number.
Like
it was
12.
40. It was 40 something.
Oh.
Well, there's
40 million? 40 million?
40 something Hispanics, but like the 90% of them are Mexican descent.
Okay.
Give or take.
So 36 million.
So yeah, so give or take, yeah.
It's a
And
population of satellite.
Well, that's more than Argentina, dude.
No, I mean I'm making a joke, but yeah, I totally get it. It's twice the population of Texas. It's more than the population of California.
Yeah.
It's a great big market. But why did it take them so long to recognize that though? I mean they've been coming and doing these games since as long as I can remember. I mean at least since the 80s.
I don't think it's that big.
I think it also, you also have to look into the fact that the journalism has changed drastically in the last 20 years.
Sure.
And I think and part of it, there is part of that is that people just don't want to pay journalists and have staff writers and staff photographers and stuff like that. So I mean that's also been a drawback.
Yeah, Ron, and Ron would tell you this because going into the 2006 World Cup, and we got to ride with a lot of the other, a lot of the English, the U.S. media, English U.S. media from the big newspapers, and those staff writers, the majority were there on vacation.
Yeah.
They weren't even getting paid to cover the event.
And they were older. In fact, and that was in 2006. And then when I covered the 2010 World Cup, it was basically almost the same faces, but it's like.
But balder and fatter.
Yeah, that too, and
how much is it going to cost? How much does it cost for them to bring up this Twitter account? Zero.
What's that?
Exactly.
They just got some low-level dude writing tweets and stuff. It's basically nothing. I mean, what's?
No, they have like a staff. They're gonna have a staff of.
Yeah, but they're
people posting around the clock.
They actually have a pretty comprehensive social medias. I mean, I'm seeing the guys. I've talked to Beto Guadarrama a few times. He's a good guy. They have a pretty. I'm not saying robust, but I mean they have enough to handle what they need to do for sure. So I'm sure that this is just they're adding on. I mean, and again, I guess my point is that when Chicharito goes to Leverkusen, within 5 minutes Leverkusen has Leverkusen_ES on the Twitter. They'll have a Spanish language Facebook page. I guess I just don't understand why it's taken Femex Food and Liga MX for that matter so long to understand that they have an audience in this country that doesn't just speak Spanish.
Because there's no benefit, I don't think.
How can a new market not do
this is that big?
Well,
what was that number you said again?
It's not
36 million.
Yeah.
Something, yeah.
You got to take it. You got to take. There's there's a huge chunk of that's nowhere near interested in football.
Oh, I don't disagree. I'm not saying that they're going to get all 36 million, but I mean, if they get an additional,
and then you got to take
10%. I mean, they already do. They already do get that. I mean, and that's with not even trying. Now they're starting to try a little bit. I think it's going to go up.
Yeah, so I think the benefit is, it's there. It's not a huge deal though. And the cost that they're putting into this is very small. So why not do it? Why not finally bring it in? I think Tom has put a lot of pressure, and then the other guys have put a lot of pressure. If we were getting like 2,000 viewers on this show every week, and FlipMix Nation.
Wait. Hang on. I'm gonna have to pump the brakes there on you, Chiquis. Are you saying we don't get at least 2,000 viewers a show?
Yeah, I'll have to double check those stats, but yeah, and then Mexican soccer show is getting like double or triple. Then I'd be like, okay, this is some serious business, but that's not the case. So,
but Chiquis, the problem though is that for you to you have to be, and I wish this would have happened, back in 03 and 04, 05, 06, when, because I mean, Joel and I, we wrote a lot back then. I mean, we wrote a lot. We did a lot of things for free. Most of the stuff that I did for the 2006 World Cup was for free. The 2010 World Cup, I did get paid, not much. I mean, when it all comes, I mean, I didn't break even.
But we went to stuff for Soccer United marketing. Yeah. You would think they will pay us?
No. Yeah, I mean, we actually, we were writing for their web, their website, the Interliga website, for their Soccer United website, and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that we used to do for free. And
this is what I told Wiso whenever we were in San Antonio. I said there needs to be a channel on TV that just covers soccer in English, and it doesn't have to. Well, the majority of it should be Mexican soccer, but it can be other stuff like Europe, and then there should be shows like Fútbol Picante, various, and then Raza Deportiva, and all this different shows with different English providers.
My thing, and I think this is what's going to happen, and I hope it doesn't. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that they don't. The first, Mexican show in English, I hope that it's not a dumbed down thing like República Deportiva. I mean, because República Deportiva. I mean, Jesus, that was,
that first one was pretty rough. I remember that.
It was rough, dude. That's why I like the fact, that's why I preferred, like back when, what was it? Galavisión came about in 1998, if I recall, and like. I used to watch. I preferred watching La Jugada. Even if it was on tape delay or whatever.
It was always on tape delay.
Yeah, I prefer watching La Jugada.
Right.
And what I did watch live was the Noticiero Televisa and stuff like that. Even though it was for 5 minutes or for 10 minutes.
The worst part about it was that you never knew when it was going to come on.
I still preferred watching that, and I used to watch it, every night. I used to watch that, and I would prefer watching that, than a República Deportiva, because to me that was just mind numbing. It was.
That's not going to happen, though, man.
I will never forget the look on Andrés Cantor's face, in that, I think it was France '98, when Fernando Fiore was like the pregame host, and for them it was like you said, Ron. It was just the sport. It was just the we're here to cover this game, and this is what we're gonna do. And of course, Fernando Fiore his style's a little different. It's a little more flamboyant. It's more of a presentation. He's an entertainer, and it's more. This is more entertainment than it is sport.
They treat it like a variety show.
Exactly.
Exploitation, stuff like that.
Yeah, and it was just not exploitation, but at least
exploitation.
Mexism.
Yeah. And ever since then, obviously Cantor and Longo left, and Fiore became the face of Univision for the next however long up until I guess the 2014 World Cup, even though he wasn't as much of a presence on that one.
But you know, John, it was getting them ratings, like las senadoras.
Sure.
You know, they're having cheerleaders there, and then just they would have people that didn't know about the sport, but they were like just there to crack jokes and stuff.
That's a different era, though, man. Like, so was Don Francisco. That show was the most.
But that whole thing about using women to sell and stuff like that can also backfire because the guy the main guy that started Soccer Mania, the magazine, who I met in 2006, told me that when Editorial Televisa, who I think was Clio, or I forget which the publishing house, when they had a new director go in there, he wanted to start putting more women in Soccer Mania, and it backfired.
You will get a poster. Ron, I don't know if you remember.
No, those pages are stuck together. Those pages are stuck together. So I don't know.
No, but we're in a different age, though. That's a previous age. We gotta think of the word millennial.
Yeah.
You gotta think of young kids and like the way Univision is, sort of, and the way Nico does his stuff.
Yeah, but Univision has changed completely.
That's the way it's gonna be, man.
I mean, it's gone
much
back
better,
much more to the hardcore sports. I mean, they don't do. I mean, their payasadas are totally limited.
It's millennial-esque. It's a different type of style. So you're gonna have like goofy little jokes, and you're gonna have like people.
I'll be honest. I used to watch ESPN Deportes religiously and Fox Deportes religiously. Back when I had the DVR, I'd watch like 20 minutes of one, and then go back and watch 20 minutes of the other, and just when they were on at the same time. I can't tell you the last time I watched one of those shows because I watch Univision Deportes Network is my go. That's the channel I put on when I turn on the TV. It's my go-to network.
You know what? I'm ashamed to say that. I mean, I still watch. There was a time where I stopped watching Fútbol Picante, and I started watching it again. But the only reason I watch it is because I keep reading those, the Faitelson tweets, and so that's really the only reason I'll watch clips of Fútbol Picante, because it's like I like it when they start insulting Faitelson.
And that stuff's scripted as all the Stupido thing that was all scripted and fake. But even so, man, it's still entertaining. I'd still watch it.
You think it's scripted?
I think that was plain straight up scripted, dude.
Well, the part that I can't get past, and this has been going on forever, is just I mean, they just the fatalism and the negativity to me is just always just so over the top on most of those shows. I mean, it's just. And I know it's for teatro, and I get that and all stuff, but I mean, that's the part that it's like, oh, come on, guys, get over it. I mean, I'll never forget when Hugo was fired, right? And everybody was on. That was Medio Tiempo. Was they were doing like the live blog updates, and they were giving everybody information, and they had the meeting, and of course, the meeting had started late because some of the owners hadn't had their helicopter was delayed or whatever hell it was. And that night was one of the first times I watched Deportes because I just got it on my little cable package. And Jose Ramon and Huerta, they were congratulating themselves as if they were the ones that caused it to happen. I mean, they were literally patting each other on the back and shaking hands. Like, "Felicitaciones, gracias." It was ridiculous.
Yeah, but those are.
I mean, they take credit for that stuff.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. But I think with the Liga MX, in English for it, I think that I think they need to do. I really and I know, but I've said this for a long time. Liga MX needs to do like the equivalent of the NFL films, like
right.
That great storytelling, great film, and stuff like that. And I think for that to happen, I think. Televisa, TV Azteca, they're going to have to work together, or else, or come to an agreement, but sell it as a product. Because like the dude, what's his name, Ricardo Salazar, los Datos Salazar, and stuff like that. Like colección privada. You gotta.
What they need to do is they need to do a documentary and have Chivo shoot it for a year.
You know, they tried doing it with like the Hazaña series, and I still have those tapes in VHS, by the way.
Those are really good.
Yeah, they are. You know, Clio. I don't know if they do. If they still have the store Clio, but they used to have, I think, two or three stores, and you can get, you know, a lot. They had a lot of magazines and VHS tapes on just everything from, you know, Mexican history to, you know, Mexican, you know, cooking, football, soccer, everything. And I mean, I remember I bought up all their stuff regarding soccer.
That was the best part of the when you used to watch La Jugada, was when they do the colección privada.
Yeah.
I once saw one, and I'm not kidding. It was top 10, and I think the graphic said "Pases con la Pompis."
Yeah.
De Cuauhtémoc Blanco.
they would, yeah.
So they showed here 10 of his. The fact that he had enough to warrant a top 10 of 10, his best ass passes.
I remember, you know, the whole, you know, when Donovan pissed on the field at Jalisco. Now, obviously, this was before the YouTube and stuff like that. But for the longest time, you know, certain people didn't believe us that, you know, that Donovan pissed on the field. He finally came clean now, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it on that show.
Yeah.
But like I said, but then they hedged it by saying, oh, and by the way, you know, if you think he's the only one that's done this, and they showed a bunch of Mexicans peeing on American fields, you know, just to balance it out, just to balance it out. But you know, on a whole, I think, you know, that this is, I mean, obviously, you know, but it's not just for the fans up here. I mean, there's no reason why if English is as close to there is as the universal language on this planet, you know, what I'm seeing, like in Europe, most people speak English as a second language, and the same probably in Africa and Asia. There's no reason why Liga MX can't have more of an English language presence, or the national team. It just makes good business sense. And Ron, as you're saying, I mean, if they're going to go through the trouble to do that, then why not do a? I mean, I don't know how you guys are, but I used to love watching the Premier League, you know, weekly recap show. Did you all ever watch that show?
On Fox Sports?
Yeah, it was on Fox, even before Fox Sports, when it was like on Prime and, you know, all the, like HSC and all those channels. Well, what became Fox Sports? Yeah, it was fantastic. Why can't Liga MX put a show like that together, and ship that, you know, everywhere? You know, put it on Eurosport on, you know, Tuesdays at 4. Why not?
I hope, you know.
Because I mean, they're certainly at a crossroads.
So did the federation finally launch the one in English? Because
yeah, they launched it today. That was part of their big
Okay.
announcement that they had in Los Angeles.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
It's at almost 5,000 followers.
So who's gonna troll them? Oh,
There's one guy that I think he listens to the show. This guy named Cesar. He's like a real cynic about the whole MLS and Liga MX. I think he's blocked by like half of the Liga MX English community. But he's pretty entertaining in his tweets.
Oh, well, speaking of blocked, I read that Martin tweeted that Raza Deportiva or Raza ESPN blocked him, and he was like wondering why.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like the guy is like, if you read his tweets, he doesn't offend anybody.
Yeah, I would have no idea why that would have. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's all innocuous. It's
not like Joel, you know, getting blocked by Chivas, you know, front office.
Higuera blocked me, and Al's mentor.
Chivas, don't make me laugh.
I'm forgetting his name. What's
Carlos
the really so? I don't know why I never attacked Albert. I don't know what I could have said.
But you went looking to get blocked, didn't you, Joel? Didn't you?
With Higuera, yeah, I was not looking to get blocked. was trying to trigger him, but he blocked me.
He tried.
But did you get also
you know
blocked
what?
Did you get blocked by Carlos Alves?
I did, and I don't even know what I said. that one I don't even know.
I'll talk to him for you.
Yeah,
And
does he still
Almeida?
does Carlos Alves still spit when he gets on one of his tirades?
Probably.
I had said some bad stuff about Almeida, and he never blocked me. So I got more respect for him, man. I went pretty hard on him when he first came in, and
you were hard on the Beaver last night, weren't you?
Good Lord. What did you do? What did you? You didn't make it like about his family, did you? Oh, you didn't bring the family into it.
Nah, I was
you weren't like the triad, and like you just.
It was when he had first arrived, and they were asking him if he knew that there was a coach. Like when did you know that the team still had a coach when you accepted to take over? And he's like, I didn't know anything. So I was like calling him on that, I was like, yeah, right, dude. Come on. I put it in his RG speak. I put sos un cara rota. Which, that to them means that you're like a shifted dude, like someone that steals.
Wow.
But that was early on, man.
This weekend, you're not expecting your Chivas to take the full 3 points.
No, because I did a rundown right before the Santos game. I did like a big rundown of how I did my list of predictions, how they were going to do against Santos, Querétaro, Puebla, Pachuca, Pumas and America. So the first 4 games, I got him right. I put they were only going to get 2 points, which, yeah, they did. And I have them as not getting any points. But this was a few weeks back, I think that we have to be aware how things can change from week to the next. So you can have a team that's on fire, like that was Pumas when I first did the predictions. Pumas was like in first place.
They've only dropped the third. Now let's not pretend that they're like falling off the cliff. Come on.
No, but they did lose 2 in a row, and against opponents that not very strong. So I have to
the Veracruz match
take that into
rough. And then I will say this about Tijuana, and for whatever Chiquis can back me up, Pumas just sucks all kinds of ass when they go up to Tijuana. They are just terrible, terrible. I think they've won once in their entire history in Tijuana. They do not play well there.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure why that is.
So I had Chivas not getting any points at CU. I think now that a point is possible, they could edge out a point, which does them no good. They already lost 11 at home. I mean, your Chivas at this point they have to make about 25 points. You need 25 points to qualify to the league. They're at 6, so yeah, they. Getting 1 point here and there is not going to help them. And then they host America, where Chivas just Almeida's record against America is not that good. So I could see another tie there, but I mean, I'm not saying that they can't win. I'm just saying the odds of the other teams doing better is greater than. So. Yeah, I put my original, which I have to say is no points, but I've seen just some of the changes I've seen recently. I put them up to maybe getting 2 points at most.
Joel, why do you hate Chivas so much, Joel? Why do you torture yourself like this?
I can't say that. You can't say I hate. I did say that they're going to. if they don't win the CONCACAF, they'll be in the final. And oh man, they're going up against an America or a Tigres. I heard you guys talking about that earlier in the show before I logged on. And yeah, but the one thing that's gonna work in Chivas' favor is that the other teams are gonna be more concentrated in the league.
Right.
When they have to choose, they're obviously gonna choose the league. And even Tuca, he said before the match how they had an obligation. But if you follow Tuca's career, to him the league's always been the top priority. And I remember like in '97 he took Chivas out of the Libertadores. It was '97 or '98, I can't remember, but that's when it was invite, and he's like, we don't have the squad to compete in both. We're not going.
Well, that's not a problem that he has now at Tigres.
Yeah.
Now I have to ask you, Joel, is Chivas? They're still at the. They're still at Elvis level. That they have not improved. Now, for you folks that don't know what we're talking about, a few weeks ago we decided that Chivas has 3 levels of play. They have the Elvis level. Let's see. Where it kind of sounds like Guadalajara, but you're not sure. And then, if they get a little better, we will give them that. Where it's still a little shaky, but at least you recognize what it is. And then ultimately, when they start playing well, they get the full. When they start.
Eso es todo, John.
When they start playing well.
Oh.
So those are the 3 the 3 levels. So Profe, I'll have to ask.
You summoned him with the 3 notes.
Yeah, with Profe Juan Uribe joins us from Long Beach. Profe, and we established this, and I know that you keep an eye on your Chivas more than practically just about anybody. So we'll have to ask you, Profe, this is level 1. Right, and then we have level 2. And then of course we have level. We have the level 3. So where are they?
Well, first of all, I just want to say good evening to this distinguished and esteemed group of gentlemen, and saludos al Brujo Mayor that was giving his predictions the last few podcasts. It's not, but I'm always at number 3, man. I don't care. They could be having the worst season, fighting descenso. Exactly, man. Exactly.
Oh man.
They could be wearing their stripes could be like dark blue and white. It doesn't matter. I'm still at number 3.
Well,
you're a sunshine pumper.
Yeah, that is some serious delusion there, I think.
Hey, no, dude, they're turning the corner, dude. They're turning the corner. They're
Oh, you're like Vergara when he said, "Oh, our next game, we're gonna show you what we're really made of." And what's their next game? Cibao.
What has me worried, and we had this discussion, talk with Jolie the other day in one of the
super secret Chivas chats.
That we have. Yeah, one of our secret Chivas chats said the cantera, the problem with Chivas is gonna be to stay competitive. They gotta have a really strong youth academy, and right now it seems like other clubs that don't depend so much on their homegrown talent are being more successful. If you look at, I think one of the last call-ups for I think the U15 team, there was like 5 Atlas players there, and there wasn't as many Chivas players, so we got to crank up the production.
Yeah, and recently we've been getting the young players from other clubs, so took some players from León, and then recently from Santos, and the kid from Querétaro. So yeah, before that would be players coming out from our youth system. Now the club has been getting them from the other teams.
I mean, at this point, we don't even have a Pinita Arellano to be disappointed in.
And not only that, but one of the last joyas, el Cubo Torres is doing the robot dance in Seoul.
Didn't he score a goal recently, John?
The robot dance last night.
Yeah, se estrenó.
What'd you say about Cubo? Say, go ahead.
Se estrenó.
Yes, I said Cubo is doing the robot dance in Seoul, and he did it last night. One of the joyas of the Cantera Chiva.
See, not good prospects, man.
Whatever happened,
like gone are the days of Venado Medina, where he was a talent good enough to be disappointed in.
Exactly.
Well, he debuted at 17, and then I saw the game. He got fractured pretty bad. It was against Irapuato, and he almost ended his career.
So Venado Medina is the kind of player. It's like he shows you just enough to overly inflate your expectation of what kind of player he should be.
He won the league title with Chivas. He had that. He was part of that team with Bofo. He played he played his role in that team, and he was really good with. So it was Medina and Bravo, and they used to go out of town and drink. So they used to call him Beberto Medina and Tomar Bravo. They're drinking buddies.
Did you ever have a few gracielas with?
I think Gullit would have been perfect right there with those guys. He missed it.
Missed it by a couple years.
So you're saying that there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's only a matter of time before Chivas breaks through. No.
You know what, John? We talked about this.
Snuggling up next to another girl, and you know what happens.
Well, I think the whole falling off with Higuera, I think that whole caused some problems with the team. That's why I changed my stance, because last tournament I was saying that Chivas was going to bounce back and they were going to have a better season. And then I saw all the internal problems, and I was like, scratch that. We're not going to have a good season, but we'll have a good, CONCACHAF Champions Cup. And so I do think it was a bit of the falling off between Almeida and Higuera and also Vergara. And so now they're saying that Higuera owns a part of the team. He's not majority owner, but they're saying that, he has some stock in the team.
Have they finished paying off the De La Torres, Jolie?
Yeah, no, they paid him off.
Hey, what did they? Hang on, I'm gonna have to interject here. But first of all, I can't find it every time you do this to me, Cambia Reyes. I can't find the music I play.
Oh man!
Shoot, I don't know what I did with it.
What? How many buttons do you have there, John?
Well, so I have different pages. So I have enough that I have like a couple of pages worth.
Oh, you pages, man. See, I'm thinking the old school when you have this board with all buttons.
Oh, there it is. No, not that one. It's this one.
Is that so? Who made you pumping this dump, huh?
Yeah, we can't. You can't come in. No, well, go ahead. But
he hijacked the show.
Hijacked the show with level 5 Chivas chat. but go ahead. What's your question?
Well, you know what? The other thing is that, I mean, are we being a little bit hypersensitive to the situation? I mean, if you look at Chivas, the way they play, the way they maintain their style throughout the games, they enjoy majority possession. I mean, they've been unlucky to not finish. But they're there. They're knocking on the door constantly. They're creating opportunities for their players to score. So to me, it's just a matter of the balls starting to fall in. I think there was El Chol
Yeah, Charlie.
Choli was sharing some stats where Chivas is like number one in the league for expected goals, number of shots on goal. There's like three or four different categories.
And unfortunately for that's great that those numbers reflect that. Unfortunately for Chivas and Chivas fans, that there's a stat that's a little more important where they're like 16th, and that's points.
Points.
Yeah, but that's a result. That's a byproduct of what's happening in the games, right? That's not a primary stat. That's a secondary stat, John. As far as I'm concerned.
But you know what they haven't.
It's a byproduct of everything else that goes on.
But you know what the stats sometimes they could be a bit misleading. So against Pachuca, they had the majority of corner kicks. They had 12 or 13 corner kicks, and only one of those was dangerous. So I mean, they could have had 20 more corner kicks, and lots of them scoring were still going to be pretty low.
Right, but that's still not a. The number of corner kicks you get in a game can vary. How you execute them, of course, it can vary. So, I think, that's an important point as far as Chivas should be executing them a little better.
So you're saying that because of the fact that Chivas has...
I'm basing it on you saying that they're poorly executed and they're not dangerous scorers.
My take is...
I'm basing it on your point of view.
Go ahead, Juan.
Well, just my take is this. The teams know that Chivas is pretty poor in scoring. So a lot of times they just let them have the ball. Like, we'll get you on the counter,
Right. But
dominio falso.
The profe's premise is that despite the fact that Chivas has a very small number of points, their amount of points is almost next to zero, 6. That they've shown enough on the field that it's only a matter of time before they win. They go on a 10-game winning streak.
Look, John. If the house was falling apart, the roof's on fire, and we better, you need to be ringing the fire alarms. Then why are they leading these other stats that show that they've been a dominant team? Why aren't the players just? If the morale is so bad, why? It should be seen on the field, and it really isn't.
You know why? It's because they're saying, "Hey guys, man, I know that we hate each other in here, but on the field, we're brothers. We're Chivas."
There was an article from Argentina when Almeida was at Racing, and they were calling him the best team of the worst ones. Because I think Almeida's always had entertaining brand of football, but they wouldn't win much, and yeah, if you look at it, his record is not that good, and especially at home. If you go through the seasons, he doesn't have that good of a home record. Ultimately, that's what you need.
Terrible at home this season.
Yeah.
They were terrible at home this season. In fact, they've had a terrible. If they, Hoyt, I know that you're a proponent of the long season, like the one season. If Chivas had the one season, I think they would be in 17th or 18th place right now.
We would be fighting relegation.
You would be in the middle of a major relegation cloud of. Yes, it would be very rough for Chivas and their fans right now. Because relegation, there's no drama.
If you watch the games, if you pay attention to what happens in the games,
dude, you couldn't pay me.
Chivas has just been unlucky. They've deserved a lot more out of the games. They haven't gotten it. They've been unlucky. They've been, they've had some injuries to star players.
Man,
they had no signings for the back line. You had a bunch of players that shouldn't be there. They're they don't have the quality,
that's
but
just
they're there.
Profe cambia excusas.
Yeah, no
You
kidding.
had the whole ordeal with Alanis.
Poor Chivas.
I mean, what could they do? Like bring in somebody like Chepo, guaranteed second division.
He's playing the Chepo card now. Come on, man.
I just imagine if it was Chepo,
telling you,
Toli would be finding the facts to apologize for Chepo.
Cambia Rayas.
Since it's Almeida and he's had an agenda.
No, I like him actually. I like Almeida.
Joel said a change of heart.
I did, yeah.
He has
12-star.
He has grown an Almeida sympathy mullet to go along with.
I'm trying
to show how much he and Almeida are like brothers.
You know how much Almeida has been worrying at Chivas. He started losing his hair, and there's that means we would have.
Not only that, but he's not putting as much product in his hair either.
He forget.
So he's letting himself. He's so distraught. He's letting himself go.
But there are some pictures you can see him already. He's balding, man. Chivas keep being unlucky, man. He's gonna be looking like Hogan, man.
It's man, I gotta tell you, Juan, man, you come out here and you are guns blazing, man. You are. It is pretty. You don't need a little warm up time, man. You just come out and just blast us. It's great.
Wait. I want to know. Cambia Rayas, Profe's take for Chivas games against Pumas in Seúl, and then the big Clásico at the Akron.
6 points.
2 wins, huh?
Well, yeah, Joel, is there a nickname for the Akron now? Does anyone call it?
Not yet, man.
You haven't heard of one yet?
No.
I mean, look.
I don't even know what that is.
Clásico, it's regardless of form, right? It's whoever brings the biggest,
No, I agree.
balls. So I mean, regardless of form, if you've been losing, and I honestly, I don't think their form is bad. I think they're not getting that bounce. They're not getting, that lucky bounce for the ball to go in. They're not, but they've been efficient. I mean, they're getting there. They just haven't.
But America's been pretty efficient as well.
Sometimes the ball doesn't want to go into the net.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, no, see, the thing right here, we have one team where you're hoping that they are efficient against a team that is efficient.
Exactly.
Well, undefeated as well. So I like to go with the odds, John. So they're against my goats. That's not to say they can't win. I'm just saying their chances of winning are slim.
Yeah, Cambia Rayas is.
He's lighting candles, man.
Yeah, he is.
He's saying prayers. He's back.
Hey, you're
how many do you put rosaries in your hands and
he has the coach shrine?
Do you have like a little ponyboy harness of rosaries when you watch Chivas games to go along with all the candles that you light?
Hey, you know what? Speaking of voodoo dolls and all that, I was watching a Carlos Vela interview. I don't know if you guys saw the ESPN FC interview with that panel of where he's talking. I guess he's talking about being in LA and all these other. I don't know if you guys saw it. Where his main point, I don't know if you guys talk about it already, but his main point was that as far as the national team is concerned, that he's gonna be hitting his peak at the right moment, at the World Cup. He goes, normally, like all the players in Europe, when they're in Europe, they don't play. Boom, that sounded like he took a shot at Raul Jimenez and all these other guys, all these other bums.
Yes, he's delusional. There's so much delusion.
And he says, hey, because in Spain, I'd play the whole season. I'd be tired by the time the World Cup comes around. But you know what? I mean, part of it's true, Beto, because like the English players, any player that plays in the English Premier League, man, they got a really grueling season. They play
Yeah,
3,
they're
4
wiped out by the
tournaments.
time they get to the World Cup.
Yeah, they're depleted, and
What
I
about
think with
Spain?
the Liga, it's maybe the
What about the
calendar
Spanish
isn't as
national team,
intense.
the German national team?
Well, I think that used to happen to the Spanish national team all the time.
When they won the World Cup, are they depleted?
Well,
Those teams.
Well,
let's
look at the German national team. The base of their players are playing in what
It's a
league?
pansy excuse, man.
Hey, no, it's a real.
It's delusional
It's
because
a real factor. You can't just dismiss it because you think it's
But-
not manly to be tired. In
No.
my opinion,
pace yourself. Pace yourself. If you know a World Cup's coming, your teams are gonna
here's
operate.
the
Everyone's gonna be on the same level.
the dirty little secret about the World Cup.
Who pays their paycheck, bro?
Everyone is in the same situation. The people in Europe are in the same situation as Carlos Vela, and this is coming from a national team coach and players who are bragging about having the best offseason of their life when Gio dos Santos, and now we have Carlos Vela talking about.
Did you not see Gio's six pack?
Yeah,
The Gio tres
believe that?
caguamas? Well, anyways, I mean that was Vela's point that he's gonna be hitting his peak in form at the right time.
That's
So
ridiculous.
I think it sounds like that Russell Beto a little bit.
It's crazy because we're going into like a whole atmosphere of delusion and unbelievable statements that we're taking as legitimate from Osorio. Just because he's head coach, he's like, we don't have a 7-0 like fresh in our memory to slam the dude anymore. So now we're gonna believe this stuff is like best off season of his life.
There could have been another 7-0 with Germany there. I think they took their foot off the gas, right? That could have easily been another 7-0.
Oh, there's no question. Yeah,
But I think they were a little bit like, hey, you know what? Let's not get Osorio fired. Let's take our foot off the pedal because maybe 3 points are in the bag as long as Osorio's there. I've been wondering about that.
But I'm glad you came on because I did want to ask you a question about the latest U.S. soccer presidency, and now that they've got this new guy elected who was what the vice president of the previous regime. So it's not, I mean, no big surprise here. But I mean, what is it going to take for U.S. soccer? Or I guess let me ask you, can U.S. soccer change in the way it's set up right now to deliver results, or what would have to change in order for that to happen?
Well, I guess the first thing, what I know about this new president is that he wasn't officially endorsed by Gulati. So I don't know if he's gonna, now instead of dotting his I's, he's gonna draw a circle. Like that's gonna be the only change.
Yeah, little hearts.
Yeah, he's gonna put little hearts maybe instead of dotting them, or maybe his T's are gonna be the cross is gonna be wavy or something.
Right.
John, I mean, they changed a lot in their youth, in the way the younger ages play. They copied the system that's I think it's in Spain, where at the like under 10, under 9, the youngest ages they play. There's less players on the field. The field's a little bit wider horizontally. Vertically, it's not as long. And then when you age up to the next age group, you have there's 2 more players, so now it becomes 9v9. And this was under Gulati. I think they implemented this 2-3 years ago. They did a few changes. I think they're waiting they're gonna wait a few years to see what the results of those changes are, before they start changing more stuff. But realistically, John, they're never gonna match the rest of the world. They just can't, dude. When you take let's say a 14-year-old, in Spain, he can join Barcelona's residential program. When you take a 14-year-old in Mexico, he can join Pachuca, Santos, or any of the number of residential programs to develop, to work, to become a pro. You take a 14-year-old in Texas, and what is he thinking? He's thinking armadillo boots, cowboy hat. He's gonna go to the next square dance, right? He's not thinking, hey, I gotta work 8 hours a day to become a pro.
What part of Texas is this? Just
that was savage, dude.
I mean, like, well, look at Jolie, dude. Instead of playing pro, he like grabbed his surfboard, and
No, It was bad timing for me, man. I came of age, football wise, and
I'm telling you,
I
man.
missed out. There was no NSL, and MLS was still a few years from starting, so I missed the boat, man. Sometimes it's you're born on the right time. The timing is right. And
You didn't miss the
yeah,
boat, bro. The boat missed you. The boat missed you.
Man, I'm telling you, man. Profe comes on and he just
you.
Hey,
I was talking to Joey, bro. I was telling him that he's the bomb.
I'm out. John,
it was the
well,
structure that fucked him up,
I wanna ask something to Profe because it's something that they were talking about prior to the elections, and they were trying to. I feel that they were trying to make it an issue where they were saying that the Hispanic community gets overlooked. So my question to you is, do you feel it gets overlooked, or do you feel that Hispanic community, we don't do enough, like we don't do what we should, we're not well organized, and a lot of times we don't like we don't give importance to certain, like when I was growing up, I had a lot of friends that wouldn't even try to play for the school team. They would just play in whatever Sunday league, amateur Sunday league, like their family was in.
No, you know what? I think they do overlook them, but it's a result of the type of player that they're looking for, or that they value. I don't think. I mean, I want to think that it's not like some kind of institutional, programming where it says, hey, we just we want this mold. Because I mean, in the past, their youth teams have called in a varied pool of players, but generally you get a lot of like the tall athletic types, and it doesn't matter what their background is. Like for example, I guess you're kind of alluding to Jonathan Gonzalez, where he was neglected, and I mean, if it depends on your point of view, but U.S. soccer is not. I don't think they're being.
Well, wait. I don't
their
think
scouting network is large enough to where they're scouting like every nook and cranny.
what.
Like, let me tell you
Wait,
something.
but wait, before you go, Profe,
Okay.
I don't think he
Yeah.
was neglected, because he was actually in their youth teams. I mean, I just think
Well,
it got
but
to the point
that
where
was
he
after
had
he
a.
was in.
Yeah,
That was
but he
after
was
he was in
still.
Monterrey, though, right? Before he went to Monterrey, he wasn't in their pool. He was called up, right? Once he was there.
Yeah, but I'm sure he was
Isn't
on the
that the story?
radar. I think ultimately he
No,
was in
I
a
mean
position of
that,
he could choose, and
that's a
he just chose Mex.
He
pretty
wasn't
vague
on the
point.
radar as much as he should have been.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's saying they're on the radar. I think that's pretty vague, because every player that's like in the system, like playing youth soccer, they're technically on the radar. They might get seen at a tournament, but maybe there's too. They don't have the resources to really look at the
Yeah, but
players
if he had been called
that
up,
they
then
need
but
he
to.
hadn't
regardless
been
of any of
overlooked.
that, Profe, you made a comment this week that I thought, frankly, trumps everything when it comes to U.S. soccer. And
What did I say?
you
¿Qué
said,
estupidez dije?
and I'm
Whatever.
paraphrasing, but you said the coaching sucks.
I mean, that's what it boils down to. The coaching sucks.
So it doesn't matter. I mean, it really just. I mean, if the coaching sucks, whether they neglect the
But you know what?
That's true. That's very true.
the Hispanic market or not, or whatever, then
Yeah. Which also, if you when you
The
look at some other
the
countries
player
like.
selection sucks. The 95% of the coaching sucks. The player selection is very questionable.
I want to interrupt real quick. Now, the reason that if y'all don't know, Profe is actually he is a youth soccer coach. He is part, and I'm being serious. He's part of an academy. For the folks that don't know, so it's not like we're just asking him and just giving us his opinion willy nilly. I mean, this is something that he experiences on a daily basis. Please continue, Profe.
I thought you were going to say he's part of the problem since he's one of those coaches.
No, I would never say that about.
Look,
I would never say that about Profe. I've never seen Profe coach.
Not to toot my own horn, but every player that's played with me, they're always a better player. Once they land on a new team, the coaches will tell them, hey, I like the way you play. You're my favorite player. 4 months down the line, they're telling the player, "Hey, what happened? How come you don't play how you used to play?"
We've posted videos of your coaching techniques on the Facebook page.
Yeah,
Don't
definitely.
act like you're not
that's
impressed.
hardcore stuff, dude.
Good stuff.
But I mean, it is what it is. That's the state that it's in for now. And
so why does the coaching? So I mean, the coaching can be better, but it's just, but there's who benefits in the U.S. soccer system, the coach or the player? Who benefits?
The player, man.
Exactly. Who's the customer? You have to look at the system. Who's the customer of the system?
Right.
The parents are the customer.
Right.
If you go to any other country, the customer is a professional club, so they're gonna set everything up to produce, either to sell, like in Argentina, to sell players, because that's how they keep the clubs afloat, or to develop the gems, like or Porto. Porto sells, Netherlands sells, Barcelona is just I mean, it just depends on the customer. Here in the U.S., the customer is a parent. Now, does a parent have the knowledge or the understanding to differentiate between good coaching, bad coaching, okay coaching? No. So the only thing they use is hey, how many shiny things did you win last year? Show them to us. And the way it's set up here, you can win by just playing kickball.
Or they recruit like 2 or 3 really good players, and those are the ones winning it for the.
Get a good goalie, get 2 good forwards, kick the ball to the forwards. The rest of your team defends strong, win the 50-50s. I mean, isn't that how U.S. soccer, how their national team also plays? Not as a criticism, but as a matter of fact, no?
You pretty much pegged them pretty good. Strong goalkeeper, the rest of the team are pretty good at roughhousing, winning 50-50s, and then they'll have a pretty good striker.
And that's what Alexi Lalas was talking about, I think, when he made his controversial diversity statement, where some people aren't going to make the team because they don't fit the idea that the coach is trying to push. Like if US wants to be like a Germany type of team, they're not going to hire, or they're not going to call up like 5'7" Mexican or Hispanic player midgets. They're going to call up these huge corn-fed tall dudes that can head the ball or intimidate somebody as center backs or whatever.
So you're saying if you eat elotes, you're going to be really tall?
A wind stare down, exactly.
by corn-fed, because if I eat from the elotero man every day, is that going to help me?
You go to the elotero every day, Cohen?
You can stay in corn-fed, so I'm guessing the elotero comes by.
Hey, you know what it was, Albert?
What?
Man, we lost.
He's on the Chivas feed.
Well, apparently the Chivas feed has come down because one of the goats of the north has joined us. Rigo Raton Ayala joins the chat.
How's it going, gentlemen? It's been a long time.
He's Raton Ayala.
How's it going?
Oh.
Aren't all Ayala's nicknamed Raton?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask my father.
He's probably like 5'4", huh?
No, I'm actually 6 foot. So I'd probably be like a rat.
No, we have to, since you've come on, Rigo, we have to ask you as we ask our others what you saw from Chivas. Are they still at the?
No, we're not there.
Oh, so you said they've moved on. They've moved on to.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Really? Oh,
yeah. It's bad.
So we have Joel who says that that Chivas is here, and then Rigo just said that the Chivas is here, and of course Profe says that Chivas is here.
I think that definition for the classification.
That is I can't think of a better way to describe Chivas fans. Right, that is
the one that I picked is the one in the middle.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm with Joel right now.
Oh, so you think it's
Elvis.
You think it's Elvis?
Yeah, end it.
Oh, that's the wrong one. You think it's Elvis? Okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah, things are not going well.
So you expect things to continue to not go well this weekend?
I don't know what I expect this weekend. I mean, I'm still there's still some optimism within me because the Pumas has lost their last 2 games, but we can't score. We could barely score on these Dominican teams. Granted, this Dominican team is basically part of La Masia, and they were very well prepared, but yeah, we can't score. It's bad.
You know what? They were treating this like a World Cup game, man. This is the closest they get to having some really big match.
No, I mean, I thought they would tire out like after a while, and they weren't. They were pressuring the whole time. I mean,
he was good as 5 on him, man.
The goalie did stop a few, but we just couldn't score. And there's definitely a lack of goal scoring that is just really evident right now. Matias Almeida looks like he's just at his wit's end at this point. Like we all are.
Joel said that he's going bald right now. So
I mean,
he's losing hair over.
Like he looks like he's aged like Obama at the end of his administration.
And that was 8 years, and he was leading the free world. This guy's just leading Chivas, and it looks like yes, he has pillows under his eyes. Those bags are so big.
Yeah, it's just he doesn't know what to do. We are. We
wanted to coach them.
I mean, I still want him to coach because I don't think it's his tactics that are not doing it. It's the fact that players aren't putting away their opportunities.
Are Chivas still on red alert?
His team
What?
Should Chivas fans still be on red alert?
Yeah, I think if
Really?
we can't get a win this week, then you might as well just tank the rest of the season
and play for the CONCAChampions.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think the plan was to try and win today, like convincingly, which they didn't do, but or get a decent score line so that they could play all subs next week, and then go into a Clásico with all the starters. I think that's what the plan was.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying.
But I mean, I think they did enough to advance in the CONCAChampions. But if they can't win versus Pumas this week, then I think they just need to focus on the CONCAChampions.
See, Joel, now because both of you guys are thinking the same way, then I think that Joel, you should revise your prediction to a Pumas win over Chivas, so that it'll fulfill your other prediction.
Well, no, my original prediction, because I made my predictions about a month ago of the games that they had left.
No, I understand that, but you're saying that you screw this, the season's done. Go for
yeah.
So by losing to Pumas, so your prophecy would then come to pass.
Yeah, no, even if they did win, it's still pretty tough. They still got some complicated matches, and they already lost too many points at home, just 11. They would have to go like on a 5-game winning streak.
Well, there's 9 games left, right? Is it 9 games or 8 games?
No, they have to win more than that. I mean, you need 25 points to qualify.
They need to win at least 7 games.
Yeah, you have to be all wins. So
they're gonna have to go on a major tear.
Yeah. And hope that other chips fall, which they can in Liga MX, but it's a lot. I mean, I'll be happy if we beat America this year.
Imagine this scenario.
What?
Imagine this scenario. They lose the Clásico coming up.
Yeah.
And they put all their chips into the CONCAChampions. And they go lose to America twice in the CONCAChampions.
that is a possibility.
It is.
Because there's a good chance they'll meet in the final.
Well, that's the only place they could meet is the final, right?
Yeah, that would be the final.
That would be a big ask for both teams. Well, the Chivas, I think, actually has a little bit easier bracket, but America has to go through either Toronto or Tigres.
But see, I think this is where I think America and Tigres are both gunning for the league. Like if they have to choose one, they're gonna choose the league.
Yeah.
So that could help Chivas if the scheduling is right when we meet up, when the teams meet up.
Listen to you, Juan.
That could play to their favor, where they could just go balls to the wall and
I don't think Toronto's a slouch either.
No, not at all.
I think
but Toronto's on the other side of the bracket.
On the Chivas side?
I thought they were on the Tigres side.
Yeah, I think they're on the Tigres side. Because I think if Tigres wins and Toronto wins, they play each other next.
Yeah, I thought it was Tigres exactly, and then FC Dallas and America is on one side of the bracket, and then Chivas and Tijuana and Sounders and Red Bulls are on the other side, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct, and the Sounders just lost to Santa Tecla, so they're not Olympia tied New York.
I'm actually I'll be at the second leg of that match of this Red Bull.
Chivas has an easier bracket, so
I kind of like it this way. The brackets like this versus doing group stage and then.
Yeah, it seems like it goes through quicker.
Yeah, I mean they still have the group stage, but it's just for all the.
For the minnows.
I was going to say the teams with less resources.
No.
Well, that's not true. I mean, it's just they're just now. I personally don't believe that MLS teams should all get a pass, and nor should Liga MX. I think that at least one team should still have to play the group stage. In fact, maybe that should be something that for the winner of CopaMuyX. Like how they used to go to the repechaje of the CONCAChampions of the Libertadores and go to the repechaje of the CONCAChampions if they win CopaMuyX. Which it looks like Pumas is going to advance in. So I think that's the first time that they've made the knockouts in the CopaMuyX. How sad is that? That Pumas and the times they've played CopaMuyX have not gotten past
weren't they using their youth teams for that?
Well, I mean, they certainly. I watched the game, part of the game last night, and they had it was a mix. It was like the Cubos of the world, the second teamers, and some younger
but I mean,
guys.
like previous coaches, because I know Palencia was trying to promote some youth guys and.
Yeah, he used a lot of youth guys. I mean, and that's fine. I mean, honestly, I'm totally fine with it. I mean, that's what. But I mean, if you need to give some guys some field time, and Kubo played well last night. He had a goal, so I think that's going to work out for. Every time Pumas plays Chivas, I mean Pumas, they just don't beat Chivas. It's either a tie at home or a loss on the road. I can't remember when was the last time Pumas actually defeated Chivas at Seo. It's been a while.
But they might be inspired. I don't know if you heard the Puma died. Like the pet, the mascot they had.
Petey the Puma is dead.
Yeah, I saw a thing today on record that it died.
Yeah.
So they might be inspired. And they might do it for him.
Wasn't he for the pointy ball, though, for the gridiron football mascot?
Well, but it's still the same.
Still. But I never saw him. Like, you'd think he would be in the sidelines,
They keep him in the locker room for inspiration. No, it's... I'll have to ask I should bring on my friend Jesus, who's he's one of the guys that I call the Longhorn Spanish radio with in American football. He's actually is very well versed in the history of college football and a lot of the old stadiums and that. He would be somebody that could give us some education on that. Well, boys, I want to wrap it up. I know we moved on for a while. We talk about and we did it at the end of January. This is our last show in February, so we always want to think about, and one of the things I used to write about when I was at Big Soccer is every month, wrap it up. Who's on the 23 right now? And I mentioned earlier in the show that I don't think there's anybody in Liga MX that has really done anything to just make Osorio go, man, this guy keeps it up. He's going to Russia. There hasn't been anybody that has really just gone bananas in Liga MX. So it's looking like our 23 from the last group really hasn't changed all that much from to this one.
No, I don't think so.
Joel, no one.
No.
No one making a Chicharito type move.
No, none.
I still would like to see Henry Martin on the team.
He needs to get it going. He's got 2 months. He needs to get it going.
I mean, didn't he score the other night?
He may have scored in the. I don't know if he scored in the CONCAChampions or not. I know that he hasn't scored in the Liga.
I know, but how many forwards do they take? Five strikers.
He'll probably take 4. So it would be Chicharito.
Jimenez.
Well, that's the one that I think that probably wouldn't go.
I think it'll be.
Let him out.
I think the Henry Martin is between him and Peralta.
Yeah, and they're both America, so America needs it's to be represented. I mean, they do own the rights, the broadcasting rights.
Is Cepillo playing right now? He's not playing?
He scored last night in Saprissa.
I like Pizarro.
No, he didn't score.
I thought Peralta did score last night.
No, it was Cecilio, Uribe, and
A
Ibarra.
hat trick. And a hat trick, yeah, the hat trick from Uribe.
Hat trick from Uribe or Oribe?
No, Uribe. No, it wasn't a hat trick. It was just a brace. It was 2 from Cecilio, 2 from Uribe, and 1 from Ibarra. Peralta did play though.
Okay. So neither Martin nor Peralta scored. Of the 5 goals that they scored, they didn't get any of them. Neither of them.
No, but Martin has 5 goals so far.
Yeah, but he got those in the first 3 weeks, and he hasn't scored. And one of them was a hat trick, and he hasn't scored since. I've noticed that anytime a Mexican player gets a hat trick, like they don't score for 3 months. It's like they use up their
we used up all their goals.
Juju, yeah, and then they don't have enough left, and the account gets overdrawn.
Hey, I have a question for you guys, which actually going to be going over to Copa 90, and we're going to be doing a simulation. We're going to be talking about it for one of their new web episodes of which Liga MX team do you think could compete in the Premier League, and where would they place on the table?
Well, off the top of my head, I would say Puebla. And I think that they could probably go about 5th.
Like, I mean, I selected Tigres just based on talent.
That would be my choice too.
Yeah,
where do you think they would place?
I think they would place about 15th or 16th. If they escaped relegation, I think it would be a miracle.
Wait, John, forget something. These guys are gonna have to come play their home game at the Volcan, man.
That is true.
So if you had like a,
but you can't tell me that the Volcan is more intimidating than Anfield or.
No, but we could have like you put that match at midday. Those guys aren't used to playing at.
Well, you don't have to because it's Monterrey. You could play it at 7 and it's still 95 degrees.
Yeah, but I mean that home advantage, the home field also counts. So even a team like Toluca, maybe not this, but like the Toluca with Cardoso and his crew.
Yeah, or the Santos with Borghetti and Pony Ruiz.
Yeah, those teams would do. They would do. They will hold their own, man. They would.
I also think tactically, a Tuca coach team going to Europe, I think would do well. I don't know if they could compete like in all three competitions, say like FA Cup, Community Shield, and the league. But I think if they were just doing the league, I think they would place maybe the lower end of the middle, an 11th.
Yeah. We tend to like look at their strongest teams, and then we kind of like just judge based on that.
The problem also with this, the way we're doing the simulation, like on this webisode, is it's based on FIFA, and I feel like FIFA underrates Mexican teams and overrates English teams and MLS and stuff like that.
Man, I won the Champions League with Pumas on FIFA.
I want to know how you got them to qualify, John.
I can't remember, but I mean, this was like FIFA 04. I mean, this was a long time ago. I mean, don't get me wrong. But yeah, I mean, I had it was great. It was I think I had Thierry Henry and Cuauhtemoc were my strikers.
What the?
Yeah, well, because it was one of the things where I was so good as a manager that any player would want to come and be on our team. So by the time I was done in my manager thing, I mean I was winning games 6-7 just because I had every 5-star player, period. Because they all
you were like Pep.
Exactly.
Here, John Guardiola.
I think I ended my career in flamenco. Well, and I had just a crazy day. It was a lot of fun. Actually, one guy on the game that I played, I forget what, Juan Chop, was outstanding. He was a really good striker on that. He was on my squad for 3 or 4 seasons. Juan Chope. I'm not sure why that was. He just was a really good striker in that game. That brand.
He was a hidden gem. Nah, man, those things are hard to do. The like, how would this team do in this league? You know?
Yeah.
It's just hard just because. Yeah, on paper the team doesn't look as good. You know, and it's funny because we used to get that a lot before Mexico started participating regularly in CONMEBOL. So they would say, "Nah, Mexico won't be able to hang."
They still say that.
No, but I mean, there's more respect now, you know. But they pretty much have beaten every team, and they played 2 finals and a handful of semifinals. So that took care of that. But I mean, so it's really tough to say.
So when you simulate this, how long does the simulation process take? I mean, are you actually manually playing the games yourself? Or
No, they're gonna simulate the whole season, just simulate every game, and then we'll see the results like on the show. I'll let you guys know when it's out. But we just decided what team we were going to use today to simulate, because they did one last week with which MLS team would do well in, or which MLS team would you pick to be in the Premier League, and they picked Toronto. And Toronto actually relegated based on the simulation of the whole season.
I don't need a simulation for that.
I don't think so. Though. I feel like that's a pretty strong team.
Toronto in EPL.
And that's why I say that Tigres. I mean, honestly, Tigres would be lucky to escape relegation.
Really, I feel like they're a strong team as well.
I mean, Tigres, I think, if I'm not mistaken, has the
but 3 or 4 players that played in Europe.
Well, not just that, but they have the highest salary of any team in the Americas, if I'm not mistaken, a soccer team anyway. But yeah, they do have players that played in Europe. I mean, they have a strong team, but it's just I mean, I could be wrong, but I do think that if, like you said, 11th, I think anywhere from 14 to 16, I think is where they would make. I mean, West Ham is terrible, and I think they would give Tigres all kinds of fits.
But John, the home field, or not just the home field, the climate, and because a lot of these teams are used to playing at night, or playing at a more cold climate. But I don't know if you guys remember when.
Yeah, but I don't think the computers.
I do think they're better athletes, though. I think they're better athletes.
No, they are. But check this out: when the club's World Cup was played in Brazil, and Necaxa, they played Man United, and
Alex Aguinaga.
Yes, sir, and it took a free kick goal from Beckham for the Man U to tie that match up, but they were struggling, man. They were having a hard time.
Well, I mean, that's in the real world. This is a computer. Is the computer going to take weather conditions into consideration?
No, definitely not.
Yeah, and it was really hot. It was hot as balls.
No, again, I think
in that tournament.
This is an inaccurate way to do it because, again, the way FIFA does their ratings and all that,
right,
isn't really fair. But I think it's a cool concept just to talk about it.
Yeah, no, you're right, and you know what the ratings at my to go argument for the whole rating thing is the Mexico-Croatia game from 2014. If you look at the players that were for Croatia and the teams that were playing at, you had Modric, and then Rakitic, who had just signed for Barcelona, but he was rated amongst the best, and everyone was just expecting Croatia to roll over Mexico, and we took him to school, man.
On Jorge Ramos, the Guatemalan guy, what's his name?
Quita el Valle.
Yeah, Alejandro del Valle, and he just for months. He's like, I don't know how Herrera's going to be able to hang with Rakitic.
Never mind Herrera, we got Gallito in there, man.
And like how's that going to exactly? And they exactly. It was pretty obvious which midfield was better that day.
Plus, I think tactically, for example, with Tigres, Tuca's a good coach where week in, week out, he could tactically come up with a game plan to face all these teams. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to compete with the,
Could you imagine Tuca's grouchy response if they said, Tuca, you're going to play in the Premier League this year? Just like, oh my God, what a nightmare. I mean, he has a heart attack having to, fly the extra hour to go down to Honduras, and then they're going to make him, fly across the pond every 2-3 weeks. Okay. Well, on that note, probably a good time to wrap up the show. But just so I'm clear, and Chiquis, I want you to be witness here. You guys both agree that the best thing for Chivas season this weekend is for them to just go ahead and take the loss to the Pumas.
Oh no, I think I want them to win.
Full.
But if they lose, then I think they need to go all in on CONCAChampions, scrap the season.
Okay. All right. Play the season with the youngsters. Let them get a little fogueo. Let them get some minutes. See what you got, and start building for next year. Because you're probably gonna have to start dealing with the sense all over again if you have another bad season.
Yep.
Understood. And Joel, you've moved past the self-loathing. You're back on the bandwagon, but in fact, you mock the self-loathers now at this point, right?
Yeah, you're late to the party, man. Llegaron a barrer.
You were self-loathing before.
He's been self-loathing since we won the championship.
That's right. Well, even before that.
No, before that, way before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I don't see a good outcome. Yeah. I'm not saying they can't get it. They're surprised, but I expect them to tie at best.
Yeah, you're the gray bush of self-loathing. Joel. Well,
No, I'll tell. Wait, I want to tell Rio when I was self-loathing. It was in what was it? 2013. Wait, was it or was it? When was it when they? No, wait, was it when they played Libertadores? That they the Chile team didn't want to play them.
Oh yeah, so they had
because of the. And then Mexico
Because
pulled
of
out of the
swine flu?
fiebre porcina, yeah, and then they pull out of the tournament, and then CONMEBOL rewards them with they go enter the next tournament in the elimination round.
So it's 2009, and then 2010 they get that, and
Yeah, that was
and
since then. Since then, man, and I remember when I was like, okay, we get a few refuerzos, and I remember Vergara says, refuerzos are the cantera, and then you know how you're allowed
to bring in
CONMEBOL allows you, to bring in, and even for that they were like, nah, we're cool, and this team was lucky, man. This team was lucky in a couple games where the post was like one of MVP for a couple of those games, and we were playing with Chivas. Chivas was playing with like the third goalie. We had a Bofo that was not at 25%, and they make the final, man. And it kind of sucks that they did the deal, and Chicharo. He wasn't there, man. They could have, and I always say it because I remember seeing this with River Plate when they had Hernan Crespo and Parma buys him, and River Plate was like, he's not leaving till we play the final, and that's how he left, winning the cup for River Plate. And I was like, why couldn't we do that, man? Like, what was Chich playing around that time that Chivas was playing the final? He was playing the MLS All-Star game, and I was like, what? That just hurt me, man. That just, I'm not saying we would have won, but Chivas' chances would have been greater than.
And then he went and played Chivas.
Yeah, he played Chivas at the Zombie Live, like an exhibition, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I didn't even care to see those games, So yeah, that's when the loathing started, man. Because to win, that would have been epic. To win Libertadores would have put Chivas on the map. It would have been historic. It's something that we might not even see. Who knows now? So yeah, just thinking about that, man. John, why opening up old wounds?
By the way, I'll be at the Clásico, guys.
You're gonna go?
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I bought my ticket a while ago, and now I kind of regret it.
Do you fly to New York direct to Guadalajara, or do you go like? New York?
It's direct.
He has his Chiva bono.
It's a red eye. So I get there Friday at like 6 a.m. I was actually going to do Chiva bono this year. I was like, even if I go to one game, it'll be worth it.
Do they still sell Chiva Cola at the stadium, or?
No, it's like Pepsi.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Unfortunate. What's the beer of choice at the Akron?
I don't remember. I think I was drinking Azteca de Oro last time I went.
Did you say Superior?
No. It might be.
I love Superior, man. That is some good stuff. You can't get it.
But I'm also going to try and catch the Morelia Atlas game in Morelia the night before. So
that's a pretty hefty drive.
It's like about 4.5 hours or something like that. I don't really have like
I want to take a plane. You can probably fly.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm going to look into that.
Ario Mexico.
Or just go to Flecha Amarilla.
That'll take like 16 hours.
Stop in every
pueblito.
Loads of chickens in there.
Lady comes in selling tacos de canasta.
¿Cómo me pongo? ¿Para qué me invita?
Well, yeah. Well, that's how you'll have to give us a full report.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be there. I'm gonna try to be there as press, and I'll be uploading some videos to the Chivas del Norte account from the stadium. And,
from Morelia.
From Guadalajara, but I'll probably do it from my own account from Morelia, or I can do it from the Cantina account from Morelia, because that's Morelia Atlas. That's on Friday night, so should be a cool atmosphere.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. Well, thanks for hopping on, Rigo. I know it's kind of late for you, and I know it's
I had already fallen asleep, and I woke back up, and I was like, you know what? Let me hop on.
I think you should. Well,
yeah.
We're glad that you did. So thanks for that. Chiquis, thanks again for hooking this up. I finally figured out how to do the event thing. It only took me a year and a half. So,
Quick stat. July of 2016, Pumas beat Chivas 1-0.
So that was the last one.
I believe so.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. I know that we won in a semifinal in the last championship that Pumas won in 11, and then also of course the terrific win in penalties and was it 04, Joel?
04.
04?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was lovely as well. Joel, as always, thanks very much, and we'll have to see how your predictions come to pass or not.
I think he left.
Well, he's muted, but he probably stepped away from.
Yeah, I'm saying going off of Chiquis, the Chiquis stat for Pumas, that draw is looking more and more likely. John didn't like that.
I'm offended.
Hijo de la chingada, no mames, güey.
I have to say about that. No, well, you're probably right. I mean, honestly, you're probably right. They just don't. It's not something that happens for Pumas against Chivas. It's one of those teams that they have a hard time beating.
No, and I think Pumas in a position where they'll rather split the points than lose anymore.
Yep. Yeah, Pumas needs points. They need 11 to 14 more points out of the last. What is it? 8 games, 9 games, whatever it is. They need points. So hopefully that'll happen. Hopefully we'll get one of those little 3-game win streaks, and that'll make things very, very, very good for Pumas. Hopefully it'll start this week. Anyway, I do want to thank y'all for listening. We kind of bounced around all over the place tonight, but we always do in the CantinaMX podcast, and want to thank y'all for joining us. Thank everyone in the chat. I know Sergio was on the chat. We had some other folks on the chat. So we do appreciate that. And, of course, you can listen to this and all of our other previous editions at the Podcast Center on iTunes and, of course, on Google Play. My name is John Jagu, and we will talk to you guys next week on Thursday, the 1st of March. Thank you guys very much for joining us. We'll talk to you then.